Noah Samsen, up and rising bread tuber, with bisexual lighting in his avatar, and everywhere else, actually, put out a video called Solving the Debate Bro Problem, which I am now realizing is 1 hour and 19 minutes long. I suppose that's how it is. The Debate Bro question. So, full disclosure, before we jump on into this. Hello, Zan. By the way, does anyone else feel like Zan looks better with the white hair? I do, unironically. White, blonde, whatever. I think it looks good. I think it looks dashing. Really, I do. So, full disclosure, Noah Samsen is a person with whom I have sort of an odd relationship because he seems to disagree with me on a good many things, but he's also been quite friendly to me in DMs and like in good faith and stuff. Normally when people disagree with me on something, it's like no contact, all hate, like just total VDS anger. None of that from Noah. Even if we have disagreements, I don't get that impression from him at all. He messaged me saying he was going to put this video out last night. So it's not like a blind side, I suppose. So, invariably, what happens when I get criticisms from people who are intending to levy them in good faith is that I get attacked afterwards for not taking the criticism, when I disagree with the criticism, you know what I mean? It's kind of a lose-lose, right? Where it stops being about being able to attack or defend a point and starts being about, like, the perceived ego of people who won't change their mind based on the opinions of others. But I suppose we'll see. We will see. I know that Noah Samsen has had some takes that I would consider pretty goddamn hot. He was saying something. It was defending Professor Flowers on Twitter, saying something like, in order for a country to have autonomy, they need to have the ability to commit a genocide, which I suppose a nation-state with autonomy can do that, but that's not a defense of them committing genocide. I mean, you could make that argument for the Nazis, but look, let's watch the video, huh? I'm gonna have to speed it up just a little bit. Video of this length. We've got a lot to talk about. This isn't the only thing that dropped today, by the way. Apparently some Marxist professor with a Substack wrote an article talking about how I'm like the incarnation of Kissinger. So we've got a lot to go over today. We have the boy.
Noah Samsen's a fucking idiot.
Noah? The coward Noah Samsen, who said that he liked me in a video and then later posted like a minute-long retraction in the following video.
I have no problem with black creators getting really big. However, FD signifier is a dumb fuck.
What? Bro, what are you talking about, man?
Hassan Piker is an idiot. Nobody learns anything new from Hassan. I don't believe that Hassan is capable of defending socialism as a concept. I don't think he understands it enough to defend it as a concept. Fuck you, FD signifier. Fuck you, Noah Samsen. Fuck you, Hassan Piker. Go fuck yourself. Don't be proud that you—
I actually didn't know that Xanderhall didn't like Hassan. This is new information for me. I'm riveted. Now I'm engaged.
Can't defend your ideas in a debate. Don't proudly exclaim to the online right and everybody watching that the left isn't and shouldn't defend their ideas. I'm sure that Noah Samsen will just end up putting out another video about how debate bros are awful, and with the bisexual lighting and everything like that.
That's a banger intro.
Hi everyone, welcome back to this television show. I'm Noah Samsen, your host on google.com/youtube.com's best website.
That's good. I just want to say, even if I disagree with the contents of this video, it's good. Credit where credit's, artistic. It's, Noah Samsen is like Hitler, if Hitler was actually good at painting. Maybe we have some disagreements, but, it's artistic talent. Apparently, art historians say that Hitler was actually quite bad at painting. I'm not an art historian, so I don't really know. It just looks like paintings to me, but I'm not sure. I'm not sure.
Site, my channel. If you've got something that's gross or a little bit weird near you, like a garbage bag full of animal parts or something, get it out of there. Take out the trash. That's my #1 health foods tip of the day for today's day. Warning, warning, alert, alert, red alert, 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 this is not an anti-debate bro video. This video is, and I hope we can improve our online conduct and get better at recognizing white supremacist structures in leftist communities video. It just so happens that in order to do this, we need to use a couple of debate bros as our Caucasian punching bags. But they won't mind. As a matter of fact, they like it. They love it.
Goddamn
they love
picture.
it when this happens to them, and we love to see it. This video is sponsored by White on White Crime. I'm here to correct the record on some falsehoods that are being spread around the D-boy zone, and also expand on my own personal criticisms of these spaces. I personally, and you can shit on the top of my head for saying this, but I personally think that people like Vaush have the ability to do a lot of good with their platforms. Teaching young people how to use arguments and rhetoric to push back against their 9 o'clock bedtimes for reasons not unrelated to gaming. Spreading socialism with Discord characteristics across the globe. No, but seriously, I do appreciate what he and other members of the live streaming community do. It's a different skill set that's important to have, and denigrating this community from the outside is the last thing that I want to do.
Wait, I don't know that last person. Who's Froggen?
Important to have, and denigrate.
I don't know this person. Do I know this person? I know Lonerbox and Shark, of course. A Hassan mod? Oh, so they hate me. Okay, gotcha. They despise me. Now I know.
This community from the outside is the last thing that I want to do. That being said, there are some clear problems with the way that debate spaces operate that will only continue to arise until they are properly addressed. So that's why I'm here. I can fix them. Obviously, that's not going to happen, but you know what they say. Shoot for the moon, and when the bullet travels back to Earth, you'll kill a teenager in a nearby town. I've brought a friend along with me for today's video. Why don't you come on out, buddy?
Whoa, hey everybody, it's me. Good Faith Gary.
This is Good Faith Gary.
Oh, no.
Everyone say hello.
Howdy, y'all.
No, not you. I'm telling them to say hello to you.
Oh, my bad.
Wait, Gary, aren't you just Clippy from the Windows thing?
I don't know who that is.
I'm pretty sure you are. Like that animated Microsoft.
My name's Gary, so it's on my birth certificate.
Okay, well, I've brought Good Faith Gary in to help us out by stepping in if I ever start acting in what debate streamers might deem bad faith.
I'm gonna be looking out for any uncharitable, straw man, poisoning of the well style situations.
Hopefully this will help keep the dialogue open, because honestly I don't trust myself enough to not be a dick to viewers of debate streamers, even though I used to be one of them.
Yeah, you've been on leftist Twitter for a little too long, huh?
Right.
I'm Good Faith Gary, and I love to engage.
I want to set this up, by the way, okay? So, the term good faith and the term bad faith, I think, have been kind of twisted. When I, excuse me, like they get used in a bunch of different ways. When I think of like a person acting in bad faith versus a person acting in good faith, when I think of a person acting in bad faith, I think that they're being dishonest, or the way in which they're engaging is trying to lead the discussion away from the truth. You know? And good faith would, I guess, be the opposite of that. It's about honesty and the degree to which you're framing it. So you can't like good faith, like, you know, loophole your way into being dishonest by implication, you know. Like the goal of a conversation should be to arrive at truthful positions. And that's good faith engagement. Now, this should be a surprise to all of you. I don't engage in good faith all the time. What I try to do is engage in good faith enough. Because many a time... What? Okay, gotcha. Many a time, gotcha, Allurifiokia. Many a time, I feel as though I've been good faith to a person enough that I've demonstrated the problems with their point, and after that, I'm just having fun. Do you guys understand? So, for example, when I was debating that anti-porn Nazi, I started out trying to deconstruct the arguments that he was making by addressing them and providing compelling counter-arguments. And the longer that debate went on, it became more just about me making fun of him. Now, that's not necessarily good faith, but I don't think it's bad because I feel as though I'd earned that credit. In essence, I felt like I had done the due diligence of providing the honest, good faith answers, and past that, it's really just entertainment for me. But I just want to clarify that. You know, obviously, you know, the platonic ideal is to be good faith 100% of the time. But in practice, I don't think anyone engages in any discourse that way. And depending on how broad or charitable you want to be, you can make arguments that virtually everyone I've ever debated has acted in bad faith against me at some point during their conversation, out of frustration or just out of, like, you know, memery, or because it was like a compelling quip. But if you harp on it too much, then everyone's just kind of tone policing everyone else. So, you know, anyway, I just want to make that clear, like my perspective on it.
Okay, man.
Setting up shop in the marketplace of ideas.
You can go now, but just ping me if you need to interject, okay?
Alrighty. Good faith.
Noah's in YouTube chat. Noah! It's a long video. We're buckling down. Oh, shit. I've got a debate in 2 hours. All right, here, wait. I'm going to go to 1.3. Sorry to bust with the comedic timing here.
To you and yours.
Anyways, if you're a streamer that's watching this live right now, I forbid you from pausing this video to pick at me like a scab and go, me,
Hey!
You're going to keep this video playing, and you're
God
going to
damn
like it.
it.
I'm just joking, but if you do need to pause, now would be a great time while I have my Patreon link on the screen. Go refill your nuggies and warm milky and pay me some money, okay?
All right, you know.
Organized
Yeah,
religion
yeah,
moments.
yeah,
I'm like
yeah.
the white Joel Osteen. Why is that in the script? Come on. All right, thanks. Time to go.
Yeah.
I had been spending the last month or so working on a couple different scripts for videos when the following clip was brought to my attention last week. It's from a video by the leftist streamer and YouTuber Xander Hall titled Why LeftTube is Dying and the Next Anti-SJW Wave is Rising. Oh no, this situation sounds dire. We better take a look, see what's going on.
You'll notice, and we talked about this earlier, there are some people online in the political scene right now that are left-wing, that are growing and are doing well. Many of the creators that are really blowing up right now are newer essay, commentary, bisexual lighting YouTubers. Good example of this is Noah Samsen. We just did a segment earlier covering
Oh hey, that's me.
Noah Samsen and how he's
Thank
actually
you.
a dumb
Oh god damn it.
That dude is literally gaining 4,000 subs a day right now, and this worries me. I am worried about channels like Noah Samsen and people like Hassan blowing up on YouTube because they're stupid and they can't defend their positions.
Now here's where I paused the video and thought,
This is a very real. Listen, when this comes to be true, when this turns out to be true, let's call this the Xander Hall theorem, okay? Or the Zan theorem, if you will. Xander Hall theorem, Zan theorem, whichever you prefer, interchangeable. It is a real issue. A lot of people who are getting their kicks in right now do not remember the existential agony of being on YouTube in 2014. You could not even begin to fathom, okay? You have no idea, okay? You're like children born in the baby boom who thought all war was over, you know? You're like people born in like 1921 who heard about the Great War growing up and know now that there's no chance of any conflict. Like you have no idea, okay? You can't even begin to fathom.
hearty gif from Mad Max Fury Road. That's bait, right? Has to be. Or maybe it's a performance. Like somebody forced an AI to watch debate streams for a year straight and then had it write a manifesto, and then microwaved Eminem for 20 seconds and had him read it at gunpoint.
Can't defend their positions.
So I kept watching the video because, you know, I support small gamers, and that's when I saw that.
Okay, just an editing tip. Traditionally, when you disagree with something, it's good to provide counter arguments as opposed to just, yeah.
This. Xander Hall responds to a message in the chat that mentions several popular black leftist creators by name, some of whom are relatively new to YouTube.
Try giving more examples, lol. Progressive/leftist channels by black creators have been getting really big this past year, for example. I'm so glad you brought this up! I'm so glad you brought this up, because some of the examples you list here, I know these people, and they're exactly the problem I'm talking about.
These people... Sorry.
I have no problem with black creators getting really big.
These people as in the people listed in the chat item. Like like these people as in within the group set being referred to in the chat message.
Big. However, let me check something really quick. FD signifier is a dumb fuck. I'm sorry, guys. I'm sorry.
Okay, so he's definitely doing a little bit of trolling. Why else would someone say something like that about FT Signifier of all people? The final boss of the wise uncles of YouTube.com. If he isn't baiting us for hate clicks here, and has just deemed himself the racial arbiter of who's allowed to make left-wing YouTube content, then that's not much better, is it?
Nope.
Oh,
Racial arbiter. Wait, he just says he thinks he's a dumb fuck. Wait. We're ascribing some shit here.
I'm fine with black people coming onto LeftTube, but I have some conditions.
Okay, this is like actual race baiting. What the fuck? It's the guy in chat, in Zan's chat, listed black content creators, and Zan was like, okay, I know some of these guys, and unfortunately, I think some of them are dumb fucks. I don't know how from that you could derive the idea that Zan thinks that he's like the racial gatekeeper. Like, can we not have opinions on black people? Are we allowed to perceive them? When the photons bounce off black people and hit my eyeballs, am I hurting them? Can I not perceive? Yeah.
Seems pretty weird. Earlier in this stream, he goes over how his channel is, well, dying. It's a pretty unfortunate segment, but I assumed at this point him lashing out here had something to do with that. But eventually he gets to a claim of sorts. He's going to be on the screen for a little while, so just a heads up, if a radiation sickness warning shows up on your HUD, you should probably just pause the video and go take a shower.
FD signifier is a dumb fuck. I was iffy on him for a while. He's been shit-talking the debate bro thing for a while now. He's also gone on Twitter and said some dumb fuck shit about, like, BreadTube debate bros and stuff like that. Here's the thing. People like FD signifier, Noah Samsen, these all have one thing in common. They hate and nonstop shit talk debate bros. They'll just shit talk the concept of being a debate bro and claim that debate bros are all toxic assholes who make the left worse. You're starting to see that rhetoric get really popular among the left right now.
You guys notice how everyone I meet and interact with in my life ends up calling me an asshole? It's so weird. That rhetoric is getting really popular right now. Whoever's
Well, hold on. I feel like this is a pretty bad retort. First of all, not to brag, but I get 10 million views a month. If the sensibilities of debate bro-oriented people were so repellent that nobody would agree with me, then I have an awful lot of hate watchers. This idea... No. The reason I say this is because so often this is like... Well, it's essentially bullying being framed as a misconstrual of their perspective, which I think is really, really dumb. Everyone in the online left could hate a given type of thing that wouldn't necessarily make it wrong. It seems like a lot of people in the left just want to go, like, back to the echo chambers, you know what I mean? Like, they were in the echo chambers up until around Gamergate, at which point their echo chambers were forcibly burst by much larger skeptic and reactionary content creators. Because, after all, an echo chamber requires effort to maintain, you know. It can be broken by outside force. And because echo chambers are really bad at pulling in new groups of people, the skeptic channels grew massively powerful. And then all of these little, you know, isolated communities of left-leaning people on YouTube started getting harassed by content creators 10 times their size who were also better at arguing, not because their points were correct, but because antagonism and conflict were things their channels had primed them to engage in. And it seems like now we're having this brief renaissance of the online left where right now, guys, the online left is very nice, okay? If the meanest thing you have to worry about on YouTube is little old Vaush pointing out that you're engaging in some ethnic cleansing apologia, YouTube's being nice to you right now. You have no idea what it was like back 8 years ago, okay? You couldn't even fucking imagine, all right? If I'm the thing like you're concerned about, Christ. So then, you know, they get comfortable. I'm unironically doing the strong men build good times, build weak men build bad times thing. But in this case, I actually think it's correct. We live in good times right now, my friends, and weak men are being born into it, all right? They don't remember the conflict. They don't remember the echo chambers being destroyed. And as a product of that, they think, oh, well, actually, echo chambers are fine. We shouldn't have debate bros. Arguing is dumb, actually. And, you know, we're all going to reinforce all of the optically bad and logically bad talking points that we engaged in for, you know, quite a while before we were forced out of that. I'm a direct product. Me and my rhetoric are a direct product of Gamergate and the fact that I was despairing at the left not having any proper arguments. You understand? It's a valuable service. It's called diversity of tactics. But it should be noted that people like Noah Samsen and FD Signifier and what have you, Sean as well, constantly attack lefty debate bro streamers. The opposite does not happen. There is not this deliberate effort on the part of people like myself to just tear down video essayists. I like video essays. But always people coming out with these hot takes, you know? Oh, actually, debating is bad. It's mean, you know? It's not nice. It's not enough editing, you know? You're mean. God. This is a one-way battle taking place. I think video essays are great. When they're done well, of course, so...
doing that, we gotta stop.
Noah.
Okay, sorry. Here, let's let him finish making his point.
Do you think that the left online would do better with people like Hassan and Noah Samsen and FD Signifier being the largest figures on it? The types of people who say debate is bad, who literally say debating is bad, people who literally as a concept are against debate and defending your ideas, and they publicly say so. Do you think that this is what we want representing the left?
Okay, so Xander Hall says,
I think Hassan is fine because debate isn't the highest form to appeal to. Hassan can appeal to being rich and muscular and having a small head. The average, like, normie doesn't really care about debate. They just, like, Hassan going like, dude, that's fucked up. Like, that's fine for them. So, you know, whatever. But that's in large part because of his hegemonic popularity.
That Hassan, Feek, and I are, as a concept, against debate and defending our ideas, and goes on to conclude that this will inevitably end in a weakening of the online left because...
I'm starting to see the online left turn into what it was back during the Gamergate era. One of the biggest common talking points from the right during this era was the left was too afraid to debate and defend their positions. That's why Jordan Peterson and Ben Shapiro blew up so much. It's because they debated, and they didn't debate well, and they weren't telling the truth. They just debated. Just the fact they were willing to debate gave them more credibility.
To the average person, the perceived existence of an echo chamber is actually really repellent. If the only place online you can find left engagement and left discussions are in places where disagreement is explicitly forbidden or looked down upon, that makes you look really bad. Not everyone is going to come into the left from the perspective of already agreeing with you on almost every position. If you want to get other groups of people to agree with you, you need to find, you know, rhetorical strategies for appealing to them.
Than the left, because nobody on the left wanted debate.
Yes, famously credible intellectuals Jordan Peterson and Ben Shapiro.
Wait, you missed the point. No, wait. Noah, Zan's point was that they were bad at debating. He said that, but because they were debating at all, they were able to attract millions of fans. They don't have to be intellectuals.
Well, you're putting your finger in the little hole. Rubber.
So where is Zanman getting this impression about us? Well, I have a few ideas.
Ben Shapiro and Jordan Peterson are enormously popular figures. You can't argue. They did indeed get very popular off of... You know.
I've gathered some clips together of criticisms made about Debate Bros by the people he's mentioned. These are things that I both agree with and think may be the source of this characterization. Sorry if this is a bit tedious, but I think it could be potentially helpful to have all of these critiques sort of compiled here. To give a little context as to the state of this riveting discourse, during a recent livestream, Hassan voiced some criticisms about the Debate Bros sphere and the audiences it tends to cultivate.
I agree, but I also see the downside of never having your viewpoints challenged with opposing views. Yawn. Okay, here's the thing. This notion that you are having your opinion.
To be fair, Hassan's perspectives on foreign policy could use some challenging.
Challenged in the marketplace of ideas is a silly one. That would make Ben Shapiro the most intelligent person on the internet.
Hey, you're not an anti-thinker, man. And if I call you a moose, are you suddenly a moose?
This is why.
That is also a bad extension of logic from Hassan. Just because having your beliefs challenged can make you smarter and more knowledgeable does not mean anybody who constantly gets into arguments will be the smartest guy. You have to do it in good faith, which Ben Shapiro obviously doesn't, because he's an ideologue who gets paid millions of dollars to epically own college students for YouTube compilations.
I absolutely fucking despise Debate Bros because you don't care about the actual morality behind the ideology that you supposedly believe in. You don't care about the outcomes.
I just forgive him because I think he's talking about Destiny this whole time.
Do not have like a well-grounded materialist perspective on issues. You are simply going towards who is the most powerful intellectual gladiator.
FT Signifiers Break Bread is a video that covers the history and current state of BreadTube or LeftTube and the barriers posed to non-white creators on this platform. Not even in there. There's a section in this video that had some things to say about Debate Bros. Let's take a look at a clip.
And this problem with Debate Bros and their fandom, who understand make up a very significant chunk of LeftTube viewing, including my own, is the problem of most white LeftTube, both creators and consumers, which is, for all of the theory and research and outward rejection of white supremacy on paper, the vast majority have not taken the time to dismantle the white racial frame through which they see the world. So even with the best intentions, the behavior and viewpoints born out of this space is still going to be rooted in racist frameworks unless the concept of whiteness is addressed. Essentially, if you read Marx and Trotsky and Gramsci and What You Want to Do Ski and whomever else, but not Du Bois, Fanon, Hooks, Crenshaw, etc.
Wait, is it Du Bois or Dubois? Or wait, did he reject the French pronunciation? Was it Du Bois or Dubois? It is? It is what? Why would you say it's Du Bois? Okay, cool. Isn't it Dubois? That's what I thought I learned, but okay. He rejected the French pronunciation. What a fucking based god. Holy shit. Based anti-French linguistic activism.
You might be a leftist white supremacist, and thus this colors the nature of leftist content.
Wait. Hold on.
Ski and What You Want to Do Ski and whomever else, but not Du Bois, Fanon, Hooks, Crenshaw, etc. you might be a leftist white supremacist.
I feel like applying the label white supremacist because they haven't read theory from black theorists who are, relative to the common discourse, not as well known as people like Marx, might be a little bit hasty, you know? Like, it could certainly contribute to bad perspectives on the issue, but that does feel like a bit of a yeah.
And thus, this colors the nature of leftist content and inadvertently makes things dangerous for the marginalized voices that get caught in the wake of this highly toxic, highly negative energy.
If that last part sounded oddly specific, don't worry, we'll get to that. Foreshadowing is a narrative technique when you talk about something and you talk about it again later. My most vocal criticism of Debate Bros came in the follow-up video to my LeftTube guide with a section on Debate Bros. Not gonna lie, I wrote that script in about an hour, so not my cleanest work. I also played some out-of-context clips of Vaush. It was meant to be a joke, but it ended up just being me playing out-of-context clips of Vaush. So to the gamer gods, I formally and humbly apologize. To repent for my clip chimping sins, I will be live streaming Dark Souls this week, so make sure to press subscribe and hit that fucking bell, you piece of shit, you little shitworm. But the point of that section was to document some of the problems with Debate Bros that I had missed in my initial video, where I promoted a bunch of people, some of them rather uncritically. My main points were, don't rely on debate streamers as your sole source of information, and
Sure.
don't take anything your gamer of choice says at face value. And these are things that,
You know, it's not just live streamers who have, like, hidden motivations. The only implication here seems to be that for some reason live streamers would be more duplicitous than non-live stream. Like, I think, like, I guess you should be critical of anyone's perceived intentions, sure. But yeah, it's like, the implication here seems like it's like, well, debate streamers are especially duplicitous, you know?
that I stand by. They're also particularly relevant to today's video. Now, when Xanderhall takes what we've said here and elevates it to the claim that we are against debate as a concept, well, this is just not true. I'm going to play some clips that refute this point now. Again, incredibly tedious, I apologize, but potentially helpful for context and also to prove that we are coming in good faith when we criticize Debate Bros. Pandering to the good faith gaze, if you will. Here is Hassan from that same segment of his stream where he acknowledges the utility of debate.
I'm not saying that, like, there is no value to responding or learning and recognizing the talking points that right-wingers engage in. Of course there is. People, especially right-wingers in general, love to arm themselves with the same talking points that they're disseminating out of think tanks. Unless you're talking to, like, a total dumbass right-winger, you're gonna hear some fucking takes that you will hear from Ben Shapiro verbatim. So there is value to learning what those talking points are and understanding why they're fucking stupid.
Here is Feek opening the Debate Bro section in Break Bread with...
So wait, what would a good debate be then? Because at the end of this video, you say don't watch debate streamers. So, you know, what would... Where is the good point, you know?
some concessions.
And to be fair, if I had it in me to watch the 3 and 4 hour streams of these guys talking and playing video games, I doubt I would have anything negative to say about 95% of what they do on stream. And I understand that when you're talking for that long, you're liable to say some things that maybe you wish you hadn't have said. I don't individually think that these are bad people or even that they need to be ousted from the left. I think that that very concept of ousting people is part of the problem, really.
Look at all that good faith. So much good faith. You're not even gonna believe how much faith.
Right, but okay, so in what context would debate be okay then? So they say there are exceptions, but what are the exceptions?
Faith is good in there. Good faith all the time. One of the things I hear thrown around the debate zone a lot is the concept of the left having a diversity of tactics. So different styles of content for different audiences, all with the intent of spreading leftism as far and wide as possible. And on a macro lens, the better we are at making this content, the more views it gets, and the wider audiences are cultivated, the better off we will be, because this will mean less people gravitating towards right-wing content and more people learning about socialism. And that all sounds good to me. No notes.
I'm so proud of you.
Thanks. Okay, well, one note. Is what we do on here an actual political force, or is it entertainment? If so...
Those are not mutually exclusive things.
How can that be quantified? If not, just how much are we overvaluing our utility to society beyond carving out a new consumer demographic of leftist content?
This is one of the slimiest criticisms that I see from, like, the anti-debate bro types, where they're like, you know, it's not real activism anyway, but, like, they have their own channels. Like, it's a really weird, like, well, you think you're some, like, you know, modern Malcolm X, but you just have a YouTube channel, and they're on their own YouTube channel, and they simultaneously seem to believe that nothing that gets done over here on this internet space matters, but also that the harassment and perceived white supremacy my community brings about is like tearing the left apart. Like there's this weird incongruity where it seems like it's impossible for me to do anything politically useful, but I'm very, very capable of unintentionally doing politically damaging things. I see this dichotomy brought about all the time, you know? I don't get it. Like, there's no way to slice this. Having millions of people watch political content is political advocacy. You can't, there's no way around that. Is it entertainment? Yeah, all political content is meant to be entertainment. Outside of maybe like some very dry news journals, like some very, very like policy wonk tier stuff. But for the most part, all delivery of political information or news is framed in a way that's meant to be entertaining, at least to some types of people. Sometimes people like Jon Stewart segments because he's a comedian and he talks about politics. And sometimes people find it fun to, say, for example, read over like Substack articles on some given political issue, or read over like Reuters or like AP News or something like that. Now, I don't find those to be especially fun myself, but the way information is presented is meant to appeal to some kind of catharsis. It's meant to in some way engage us. And that is a type of entertainment, you know? So it's all like a gradient, you know? Obviously, I aim to be entertaining. That is a mechanism by which you invest people in the content that you produce. But this is always paired with a perceived illegitimacy of the content that's being produced, which yeah, I just don't get that. I don't know. We're if it's a glass house that we're throwing stones in, we're all in the same glass house, and also the whole world is also made of glass.
If the style of leftism I want to promote is different than your style, and it's a style that you don't like, is this going to be an issue? Are you going to use your large platform to strike me down?
Noah, you're vague posting.
Are all forms of content equal when it comes to learning?
Noah, stop it.
So many questions, no answers for now.
You can wait. Don't be a coward. Answer the questions. Wait, you don't imply answers. I want you to give answers so that I can respond to them.
Okay, that was weird, man.
What, have you never heard of the Socratic method?
Oh, okay. Yeah, never mind. I like it. I like that a whole lot.
Okay.
That's not... The Socratic method is when you ask questions to test people's perspectives, not just ask open-ended questions that have implied answers. All right, okay.
Oh, that's so good.
All right.
He's making a dig at you? Yeah, I know. I use the Socratic method, you know, the way it's supposed to be used, I guess. It's a good method. It's not a debate tactic. It's a good thing, you know.
Briefly, I would like to take a deep dive into an interaction I had recently that I think might be helpful for illustrating some of the problems with online communication, specifically regarding the topic of debate. It's a little detour, but stay with me, okay? I'm gonna get better at writing one day. My ADHD pills are in the mail. So I tweeted this a few weeks ago, saying that basically, I do not think white genocide is something that we should be debating. The long debunked white supremacist talking point about the white population being eradicated through immigration.
Hold on. Long debunked doesn't mean people don't believe it. Tucker Carlson talks about the white genocide conspiracy theory through thinly veiled dog whistles to an audience of millions of people. It feels worthwhile to address.
Gary, I need you.
Hey, y'all.
Explain to them why this tweet is a problem for you and your people over there.
Gladly. In the debate sphere, there's a conception of the archetypal Twitter lefty that says things like, human rights aren't up for debate, or it's not my job to educate you. This, in our minds, inhibits the left's ability to argue for concrete policy positions, because if we can't have difficult conversations, we can't solve difficult problems. This might have been what Xander Hall was referencing when he was talking about you being unwilling to debate. This tweet plays into that stereotype and makes you look really dumb. That's me quoting them. I don't think you're dumb. No, I think you're a nice enough guy.
Thanks, Gary.
Maybe it'll be useful if you just clarify what you meant here.
Sure, Gary. Sounds good. As long as racist and fascist and other bad ideas exist, they should be challenged. Whether that's through debate, essays, one-on-one communication, iMessage, Tinder, Hinge,
Noah.
writing it on the ground in the woods, whatever. Someone pointed out the fact that Tucker Carlson goes on his show.
Okay. Yeah.
every night and uses white genocide rhetoric for hours on end in front of millions of people. That's a good point. It's not like it's not happening. As much as I'd love to be able to say white genocide doesn't exist and be done with it, because it doesn't, I recognize that for other people in different areas of the political spectrum, it's not that simple, especially in the general American population. We still got a lot of work to do getting them caught up. Here's the original image that led me to tweeting this. This image to me is what sociologists might call sussy-wussy. Two white dudes on a live stream titled Debating White Genocide. Racism, is it really that bad?
Noah, I can understand why this looks problematic to you, but the thing is, those dudes...
Okay, so I'll admit, all right? The temptation to make fun of Destiny here is strong, but I'll set that aside. It's petty. What's the issue with it? Here's the thing. When you perceive debate to just be a form of listless intellectual masturbation, which has nothing to do with actual political gains and only about content generation, then yeah, you might believe that two white guys sitting on a panel debating over whether or not white genocide is happening is sussy. But if you believe it's possible to secure political gains by effectively debunking certain talking points, which you seem to because you think these points should be pushed back against, how is their race relevant? Like, I've talked to black racists before, like black anti-black racists, you know. I've talked to Jesse Lee Peterson. You know what I mean? If I were to have a convo with Jesse Lee Peterson about whether slavery was good or bad, and you saw the thumbnail, you would probably assume, based on our skin colors, that Jesse Lee Peterson was arguing against slavery, and I would be arguing for it. But in reality, because people's beliefs aren't determined by their skin tones, the opposite would be the case, you know? Yeah. Could you argue a person of privileged background should push an agenda over groups directly affect because maybe those privileged people could reach the oppressed cannot? Well, that's one of the things that I think makes what I do valuable, you know? I'm a person who argues aggressively for trans people, but I'm not trans, which means that anti-trans people can't make the attacks against me that they often make against pro-trans activists who are trans. I'm white, I'm a guy, and none of these things make my arguments any better, but they do make me less vulnerable to being disregarded by bigots, which is the reason why, in spite of my astounding unpopularity in essentially every political space, I'm still treated like some kind of formidable bulwark by the right. And it's the reason why, in spite of all of the bad PR I have, I still get invited to podcast invitations by Jordan Peterson's daughter, and get in conversations with Charlie Kirk on Tim Pool's show. Because in spite of a variety of optics battles I'm constantly waging, I earn a default level of credibility based on the fact that I'm privileged. And that is, like, super fucking unfair. There is nothing that I did to earn that. And if you guys sincerely believe that I would be taken this seriously, or that I would have this audience if I was POC and trans or what have you, then, like, not a chance. Not a chance in the world. I doubt I would have taken it off at all, frankly. The aesthetic of strength that I try to cultivate, and do in my debates, just isn't something that gels with a lot of people's understanding of trans people or people of color. In this respect, I am acting as the ideal ally, a person who, by being supportive of a minority's rights but not being a part of the minority group itself, am able to take advantage of that privilege to better advocate for those positions. This, to me, is a noble pursuit. I was taught it was a valuable thing. But, you know, that sounds so condescending. Well, I feel like I've earned a little bit of condescension after this video. I feel like I've earned a little bit, you know, a slight. I've filled the jar up just a little bit. Tiny bit.
So we're actually providing arguments against it.
Right.
And that's good, right?
Yeah.
Somebody's got to do it.
I suppose that's true. However, my disdain for the idea of still having to debate things like white genocide comes from somewhere. Mainly, it comes from the part of me that feels like the real-world significance of de-radicalization by YouTube content has a tendency to be overstated online. Or, to put it another way, converting to leftism by consuming debate content can come with certain side effects.
So wait, was it just me, or were those 2 points in opposition to each other? people overstate the effect of de-radicalization on YouTube, but also there can be side effects to being de-radicalized on YouTube through Debate Bros. So it's a marginal problem then? I'm sorry, but no. Millions of people get their political opinions from, like, hold on. Where do people get their news? More than 8 in 10 get news from digital devices, like a smartphone, a computer, or a tablet. So about 86% of people, 60% of whom do often. A lot of them are going to get it from Facebook or what have you, but YouTube is like one of the biggest websites in existence. It's just, I don't know why there's always this effort to downplay, especially when, like, let's be real, video essayists are so fucking sanctimonious about how they de-radicalize people through their video essays. ContraPoint's got a fucking article in the New York Times over it. She's known as like the queen of de-radicalization through her video essays. But if you think that de-radicalization through YouTube is overstated, like, then why does it happen all the time? Chat, post frogs if you used to be on the right and got moved over by me or another left-leaning person on YouTube. I guess I was hoping more like hypers, but yeah, it happens a lot. It happens all the time. I don't know why people are always trying to take this away. I don't say video essays don't de-radicalize people. You can't say you value diversity of tactics, but then, like, implicitly attack the value of diversity of tactics by making unfounded statements about how the other tactics that you had a diverse range of aren't doing anything, so let's just not do them then, you know?
YouTube content has a tendency to be overstated online. Or to put it another way, converting to leftism by consuming debate content can come with certain side effects. You might have had a de-radicalization experience thanks to someone like Vaush or Destiny or even Xanderhall, God help you, and that's great. Seriously, I'm not here to knock on that. The less alt-right, the better. But
I like the inclusion here.
Might have had a de-radicalization experience thanks to someone like Vaush.
Here's just me chatting on stream.
Or Destiny.
And then here's Destiny after he deleted his tweets after spending 48 hours attacking a rape victim and engaging in rape apologia. Irony posting his way through it like Sam Hyde by posting a joke that he likes to harass women on the street. The Rapestiny meme, or a juxtaposition we have.
Or even Xanderhall, God help you, and that's great. Seriously, I'm not here to knock on that. The less alt-right, the better. But my concern is that by staying in these spaces, it becomes easy to maintain habits of consumption that can inhibit your ability to recognize.
Hold on, we have a new chatter. So why are you meeting Charlie Kirk halfway on his bigoted take on CRT to convince someone to move from the alt-right? Did you see my debate with Charlie Kirk? When did I move? When did I half anything? Charlie Kirk gave me half the argument, and I took the other half. He reached out halfway, and then I fucking suplexed him over the table. Halfway? That conversation was a fucking lecture. I'm good at what I do. Oh, Noah said he's ready in YouTube chat. We're almost caught up. Okay. Noah, 3 minutes. We'll just finish this because my completionist tendencies are going to irritate me if we leave 3 minutes of the hour 20-minute long video.
The reactionary tendencies that you or the people around you might still hold.
Noah, echo chamber characteristics can be found in any online community, right? That's the basis of how they form, by bringing like-minded people together. There will always be issues like the ones that you mentioned.
That's true, but the Debate Bro ozone echo chambers seem to have a uniquely grating effect due to their highly charged environments, massive platforms, and self-appointed status as the gladiators of online anti-fascism.
One of the biggest problems back in 2014 and 2016.
Wait, hold on. Hundreds of thousands of people, millions maybe, have had their politics swayed through debate streams, which are just another type of content people may or may not have preference for. The snobbery had a message. Sean thinks less of you as streams brought to the left. Wait, this is true. Sean was shit-talking people who had been brought over to the left by streaming. But this is true, though. Wait, this isn't me being an arbiter. This is literally just me saying this is a medium through which people can be brought over. I'm making, like, the most milquetoast statements here, you know? Like, hey, maybe this can be good. And it's like, it's like, no, they can't be good, actually. We don't have any evidence that debates can't do anything, but, you know.
Because there were no lefties online who weren't, you know, insane to say, no, we don't actually believe that all white people are evil and we don't want to do this, and this that you claim we want to do. It wasn't until people like Destiny and Vaush and me and Chudlogic and Demon Mama and just like left-wing debate people came along that argued against those effectively that you really started to see that narrative start to get pushed down.
There are a few examples I could use here to illustrate my point, but why don't we start with Xanderhall?
That's
Sorry,
fine.
guy. There's a new lol cow in town, and it isn't a feminist gaming journalist this time. It's
Is he a lol cow? Okay, Noah really dislikes Zan. I don't know how. I haven't seen enough embarrassing clips of Zan here to. You got to show the picture where he has his mouth open and you can't see any of his teeth. The picture people use, the one of him soy facing.
It's you, Zan, Xander, Alexander Hawley Ocasio-Cortez. Sorry, it's not funny at all, actually. The most viewed video on Xander Hall's channel is called How I Fell Down the Alt-Right Pipeline and Escaped. It's from December of 2019. We've seen this story before, but basically, he got into some Pepe shenanigans with his gamer friends and was eventually pulled out of it. The thing that pulled him out, in his case, was Destiny's debate with JonTron, where Destiny ended Nazism once and for all, or something like that. I didn't watch it. He concludes this 48-minute video with what he sees as the most important aspect of online politics as he moves forward on his journey into leftism.
There's one thing above all of this that may be the most important thing, and that's optics. I know I'm not just speaking for myself when I say that the stereotype of an SJW is off-putting to most people. Don't let yourself fit into the mold of the straw man that reactionaries have made of us. If we defy their expectations and their stereotypes, they won't know how to counter us. Us leftists, we have facts, statistics, data, and even historical context on our side.
This feels like inarguable to me. Like this feels almost like I struggle to imagine an avenue by which a person could challenge this.
If people like us can drown out the loud minority that the right uses to make their hit pieces, they won't have any more material.
First of all, what did this person do to you? They look fine. They look good. I want a portable ball sack. Where do you even get that? I love this, though. He's like, yeah, you can be a leftist, as long as you're not one of those filthy fucking degenerate SJWs, because
I don't think he said that. I just think he encouraged people to not fit themselves into the stereotype provided by the right. I don't think he said that or even implied that.
they make us look very bad. I know this because right-wingers told me so, but let's cut him some slack. That was 2 years ago. He's probably grown up and become a big boy now.
Wait, nothing there was wrong.
Let's see what he's up to.
One of the biggest common talking points from the right during this era was the left was too afraid to debate and defend their positions. Nobody on the left wanted to debate. The left at the time were high and mighty, BuzzFeed videos, feminist, like video essay content, woke scoldy, high and mighty, preachy, non-funny, non-edgy, milquetoast, fucking fucking sugar sweet, fucking condescending left-wing content made by, well, trans people with pink hair, okay, and blue hair, which obviously isn't a problem in and of itself, but it does kind of make the left, you know, it makes gives right-wingers, makes them mad.
You can optics frog over it, but yeah.
I feel like I've heard this somewhere before. This hyperfixation on optics is indicative of a framework of political thought that views the world through.
So it's not a hyperfixation of optics, it's acknowledging that they exist at all. That's the only thing. It's not a hyperfixation. If I clearly don't hyperfixate on optics, I get canceled every week, okay? It's just acknowledging the concept of them that the left tends to struggle with, you know?
Through a lens of what the right will think of us and a little more. And that's what I take issue with. Basing your politics on practicality.
Well, he didn't say little more. He was just saying that, yeah, it's important to be able to produce content that's outside this very limited mold because this is very vulnerable to outside attack.
Is a good thing, but when the crux of your argument rests upon dictating the terms of how other people should look and act and silencing minorities.
No, he said drowning out the loud minority.
Drown out the loud minority?
Sure, okay, my bad. Just save that one in the memory bank for later. Silencing minorities.
Drowning out the loud minority.
Okay, dude. When optics is the crux of the argument,
I think the loud minority he was referring to there was SJWs, not like an actual minority group.
This, to me, is in some ways indistinguishable from just being an anti-SJW person yourself, because it means that your online content Overton window always has to include the Gamergator perspective, and how much leftism—
Wait, hold on. Your political advocacy should include the perspective of everyone. Obviously. Why wouldn't it? When you form a political structure, a position, an opinion, you should take into account how all groups will react to it. Why wouldn't you? But that's not the same as kowtowing to them. And all Zan is saying here is diversity of tactics. He's not saying that you shouldn't be able to make content if you're a more SJW type. He's only saying that it's important to not fit into a mold.
Can you really be getting done if that's the case? All of this makes a lot more sense when we look at where Xander Hall is getting this whole narrative from. In his video, he starts off by citing another YouTuber whose video's thesis forms the basis of his own, and the channel he cites just so happens to be an actual reactionary YouTuber whose primary content focus is dunking on e-girls and defending Leafy.
Oh my god.
So what's going on there? This all reminds me of last year.
Wait, where's the evidence of the bad thing? I need like
when he wouldn't stop saying ableist slurs despite his community's objections to him doing so. His reasoning was that gamer language such as this is more effective at bringing people over from the right. It only took about 12 debates and 7 response videos for him to eventually stop.
Hyperbole, strike 7.
He did stop, and that's good, but not without it requiring severe pushback from multiple different creators. Xanderhall does go on to say that optics aren't everything, and that it's okay to be trans or something.
Trans people with pink hair. But I'm more so talking about the attitude, not like the optics of who's advocating for what, right? That doesn't matter. I don't believe in the idea that like we should relegate certain identities to the sidelines because their identities are like bad optics. I don't believe in that, okay? Optics are important, but they're not everything, right?
But that was only
I feel like this is a very dishonest representation of his position.
after the Gamergate tirade spilling out of him.
Condescending,
Woke,
trans people with pink hair.
So it's stuff like this.
That's not the Gamergate tirade. That's not. Those aren't the same thing.
That makes me wonder about the boundaries of what these communities are able to accomplish, and whether or not the high regard debate lords seem to hold themselves in is warranted, but you can decide that for yourself. See the current state of the valiant white debate lord saviors of the American online left.
Stop it.
He'll probably complain about being clipped out of context, but I mean, the full video's there. It's a full video. You can watch the whole thing. Also, if you
Oh wait, that doesn't make it not clipping out of context. You know that like 0.1% of people are ever going to go check out the full video to make sure that all the clips that you've used in this 80-minute video are that's it doesn't.
if you do go there, don't say anything mean, please. Just comment Squid Gang with 6 G's. But that's all I really needed to say about that guy. So yeah, on to the important stuff now. Title card right now. Thanks. So now we've dealt with that sort of silly stuff, I want to move on to a more serious example of where I feel that these spaces are causing harm within the online left. I think it actually makes the most sense to start this story by briefly going back to Xanderhall reacting to something that I tweeted. I know, I'm making you watch me watch someone react to my tweets. It's disgraceful, but I promise I'm going somewhere with this.
And then this is the one that instantly, if anyone says Vaush is wrong in the Professor Flowers debate, there's just no saving them, okay? There's no saving them. They're a piece of shit, okay? Because they're defending genocide. There's just, that is the dichotomy in that debate. You're either anti-genocide or pro-woke genocide. You're either pro-genocide or anti-genocide. And certain people on the left are pro-genocide because it looks woke in a certain way.
Okay, so if you have no idea what any of that meant, let me get you up to speed. The tweet he is referencing is talking about a conflict from a couple of months ago that happened between the large left-leaning streamer Vaush and the small leftist video essayist Professor Flowers. My tweet is saying that Vaush was in the wrong in that conflict. This interaction began when Professor Flowers made a video critiquing Vaush for conflating black nationalism with white nationalism in a prior debate. Vaush reacted to...
So, just to provide, excuse me, the full context, the initial video that Professor Flowers made was one which criticized me for conflating black nationalism and black separatism in a debate that I'd had in early 2020, I think. I had since amended the belief, like, for quite a while, I think, like a couple days afterwards, you know, I'd read a little more up on it. Though, I have to say, in retrospect, I feel like the distinction doesn't matter that much, and we should probably just stop bantying about the terms, because so many black separatists will lie and call themselves black nationalists, you know? It's like such a dog whistle for some of them. I feel like sometimes we just need to talk about what ideas we're defending. Do you think that black people should be able to form economically autonomous blocks within a nation in order to reclaim some semblance of power? Yes. Okay, so that's what I think of when I think black nationalism, along with some other stuff. Black separatism, you know, the ethno-states. Okay, so, like, let's just talk about it. What definitions do we mean, you know? And Professor Flowers in that video kind of indicated that she was also a bit of a black separatist, so that was what led to me critiquing that video, and then she made another video, then we had the debate. Okay, so that's the emphasis.
This video on his stream, he disagreed with her characterizations of him. Professor Flowers made a video responding to his disagreements. He reacted to that video on his stream and disagreed. He then invited her on the stream to discuss.
I do look rather like an angry, rambling white man, don't I? You know, like when I'm sped up like that. Maybe I need to do some like gay flourishes to make myself look a little bit less like I'm just sort of, you know what I mean? Like I need to do this, you know, clear up the optics.
To that video on his stream and disagreed. He then invited her on the stream to discuss, which ended up turning into a debate. After this, she released one final video on it, and so did he. That's not where this ends, but for now, that summary should suffice. The debate was, well, a shit show, as both parties have since acknowledged, and as we'll get into in a moment. But the effects that it had on the online left...
I was okay with my performance in the debate. Yeah, okay.
content space were much more serious and malicious. One of these effects, as Xander Hall has so succinctly put it in his video, is that it's treated as orthodox thought in debate spaces that anyone who agrees with or defends Professor Flowers in any capacity is pro-genocide or sympathetic to violent ethnostates.
Let's go.
That is the dichotomy in that debate. You're either anti-genocide or pro-woke genocide.
Now, this idea comes from somewhere. It comes straight from the source, actually, from the overlord of the debate realm himself, Vaush. Since this debate nearly 6 months ago, Vaush has continued.
It's me now, not Destiny. Ooh, we're making it.
To characterize Professor Flowers as being an anti-white racist whose ideology inevitably leads to genocide. Here he is talking about it last week on his stream.
It's like Professor Flowers. I think that Professor Flowers is basically just an anti-white racist who stumbled into a misunderstanding of decolonial terminology. There are always bad people who will mask their ideology through sort of euphemism and adjacent positions. How many super far-right fasci types cloak their positions in the front of like nationalism? Not like hyper-nationalist, fascist, whatever, you know, but just like regular American nationalism. That's like the most common thing in the book, you know? It's not even like anything PF said was that extreme either. It's ethnic cleansing. I don't get it.
There's enough lore and content regarding this interaction to last anyone who's interested until next winter. So I'm just gonna give my honest opinion.
Isn't that wild? I couldn't believe. Again, keep in mind the first Professor Flower videos that I saw, it was just in terms of like content production efficiency. I gotta say we knocked it out of the park on this one, but I am still a bit frustrated that this is even considered a contentious issue. I guess I'd kind of hoped after the debate that I would go on Twitter and everyone would be like, okay, I don't like Vaush, but like, all right, let's just move on from this one, you know? But alas, yeah.
And summarize it in the following way. I do not think that anyone that has actually listened to Professor Flowers' videos on this topic can make any of the claims that Vaush and his fans continue to make about her. Calling her an anti-white racist that is pro-genocide or pro-ethnostates is a lie, as it was never the content of her arguments. It was a narrative crafted by the failings of the format of online debate streaming. More on that later.
We'll come back to this later.
But more importantly, thanks to the means by which this narrative was conceived, with Vaush arguing against decolonization and separatism using fear of retribution rhetoric.
It's all well and good to talk about living free of your oppressors, but when you break apartheid in South Africa, there are millions of white people living in that country. Like, what do? Do you just like ship them all out? Do you build so wait, I explicitly take issue with this. I have never used fear of retribution rhetoric. I don't believe decolonized people want to enact retribution against their former race of colonizers. I think Professor Flowers does. And she essentially said, yeah, you should be afraid. I'm pro decolonization. Like I don't know of a single issue across the board where I don't take like the land back issue on this. My issue is that like I feel like her version of decolonization basically is the fear of retribution, you know? Camps? I mean, there's not really any way to do that without genocide, you know?
It has created a hostile space for black creators.
Oh, wait, hold on. Millions of white people living in that country. Like, what do? Do you just, like, ship them all out? Do you build camps? I mean, there's not really any way to do that without genocide, you know?
It is...
Well, yeah, because in the context here, she was saying that the black people in South Africa should have the right to decide what to do with their oppressors. And keep in mind, in their oppressors here, she explicitly meant the entire white race in South Africa. So in this case, yes, there is no way to ship all of them out of the country or to put them in camps without engaging in genocide. That is an ethnic cleansing. When forced deportation is an ethnic cleansing. So, but she essentially said she should have the right to do that, right? Which is, you know, yeah, she said getting rid of, or like, I think the specific phrase was colonized people should get to choose whether or not they want to live with their oppressors, which to me comes off kind of like a euphemized, you know, dog whistle for your ass is grass, basically. Would that include Elon Musk? You can do whatever you want to Elon Musk. We're not... It's fine.
Created a hostile space for black creators wanting to discuss issues like black separatism and black nationalism, and this in turn serves to reinforce the racial status quo of LeftTube, which is something that, especially as leftists, we should not be wanting to reinforce. In his retrospective video on the conflict, Vaush still fails to meaningfully recognize the distinction between black separatism and white nationalism, which was the main criticism of Professor Flowers' original video.
Black separatism is essentially just the black version of white nationalism. It's just kind of couched in this like a different type of victim rhetoric. The end result tends to lead to ethnic supremacy and ethnostates, and I think that's bad no matter what. How did Sam Cedar do a dab? It was like he did he did like this. That was good. Got to do the Sam Cedar dab.
Mind you, this is after like half a year of this being explained to him in varying degrees of simplicity, that this comparison between these two different things serves to ignore the historical context of these movements, and comparing it to Nazism is ignorant, to put it lightly. Gary, anything?
Well, I just want to know how. if you engage in essentialist rhetoric, which paints an entire race of people as being responsible for the subjugation of your ethnic group, and you feel the way to best amend their effect on your ethnic group is to deport them all. I mean, the Nazis did try to deport, like, a bunch of Jews before. Like, I don't know. I don't feel like it's that far off, right? Like, we probably just shouldn't do ethno-states, I guess. Seems like a bad thing to do. Oh, the Sam Cedar dab? Hold on. No, this is, oh, wait. Oh, there we go. He's such a king, dude. God, Sam Cedar is such a king. Huey Long was wrong. It's just him. Look at him. What a spectacular form. Incredible. Anyway, guys, you know, again, normally when people are mad at me, I feel like they're basically, they just have like a rage bone or whatever. I don't think Noah Samsen does. So like, you guys chill, okay? Like, even if I have disagreements, you know, happy to take the opportunity to explain what I disagree with or why I disagree with it. Yeah. Put away the matches.
You want to say here, or can I just keep going?
Okay, well, I guess on the debate side, we did find Professor Flowers guilty of a few crimes.
Okay.
First off, racial essentialization.
What the fuck is that?
It's when you call white people colonizers. It's racist dog whistling.
Oh, Jesus fucking Christ.
This should be disqualifying from the entire left. The idea that literally just admitting, by colonizer, I'm using it as a dog whistle for white.
Okay, give me the timestamp where she said it was okay to call white people colonizers.
What?
You don't have it, do you?
Not on hand.
Okay, well, no one does because it doesn't exist.
But she said white people are colonizers. How is this not an endorsement of...
Who colonized the world, Gary?
Europeans.
Okay, and what did Europe...
No, now you're doing it. She said it on Heem's stream and implied it heavily in my convo. It did happen, but no. Colonizers are people who engage in the process of colonization. The white people in South Africa have been there for generations and generations. Like white people have been colonizers here in America, but like, you couldn't fairly say that I'm a colonizer because I share their race, you know? For one, my family wasn't here back when this country was being colonized in an active sense. My family came here from my great-great-grandparents' generation from Poland. And given the fact that, like, a good bit of my ancestry is Irish, I imagine they weren't treated that great themselves. You know, it's... Chat, chill, okay? Chat, Jesus. Don't dilute the quality of my talking points with your vitriol. You can't make this argument for everything. You know what I mean? Like, just because it was a particular group of people who did a thing doesn't mean that every person of that race then is that the person who did that thing. And this rhetoric is how racists legitimize white supremacy. Because if you're willing to say that all white people are colonizers because Europeans colonized the world, that's how white nationalists get away with saying white people built Western civilization. Because if you want to take that as a hard essentialist read of white people's relationship to construction of institutions in the West, they're right by your logic, not by mine, your logic. And likewise, there's a lot of really nasty stuff you can say about racial minorities if you're willing to do this, you know, well, they did this thing, they were the ones who did it, therefore that race is that thing, you know. It's essential, it's not good, you know. You can, like, this, you can watch my content. I do not deny that Europeans or white people were, like, responsible for, like, colonial, currently still, like, this isn't like a lack of historical analysis or anything. It's just, you know, it's not like a race thing at an essentialist level.
Europeans look like?
Like you.
So, white, right?
Yeah, but that doesn't mean it's okay to call white people colonizers. That's racist, hurts our movement, and pushes away potential new leftists.
Gary, I already explained this. It's not what Professor Flowers was saying. Her point was that colonization is an ongoing process, and choosing to ignore this fact makes it impossible for us to truly reconcile with its legacy. Anyone with a baseline understanding of these issues that saw the debate understood that this was the perspective she was coming from.
And also, if people who arrive into America in the 1900s from Ireland and Poland are colonizers, then, like, at this point, so are, like, non-white people. You know, like now, like are Chinese immigrants who come here with like 6-figure salaries from the mainland and send their kids to UCLA, are they colonizers? Like they sure as shit aren't. Like they're closer to the average white colonizer than they are to like the indigenous people whose land we're shitting on, right? You know, making this an essentialized race thing just ignores so much context, you know.
And that Vaush trying to frame this as somehow being racist against white people was, to use an Among Us term, sus.
Why is the context of oppression irrelevant? Why is the context of who has power irrelevant?
Because, and I'll say it once more, and this is why you should really check your racism, my friend. White people and colonizers aren't the same group.
Again, this is like, Noah, you know this is categorically correct, right? Like, you can look up the definition for colonizer, and you can look up the definition for white people, and they're not the same. Like, do you want to say, like, white people are the same as, like, Western civilization builders? Like, yeah, I get, like, you could go really, like, bad routes with that, you know? Like, white people who have never done any colonizing in their life, they individually, as a person, are a colonizer because of the skin tone they have. I guess I just don't understand where the impetus to engage in this is. It's not good analysis. It doesn't, like, increase our ability to understand any issue. And it's wrong, like, empirically in a number of ways. It's optically bad, obviously. I guess I just don't understand what utility you derive from this mode of analysis.
People who are white in South Africa are regular humans who live their lives. They are not physical.
Colonization is still happening. Like America.
They are, yes, the concept of colonization is happening. You do not then get to attack 6 million ethnic minorities in a country. That's what you're doing. You're taking a sociological problem and making it a race problem, which is, by the way, what conservatives do to black people.
But it is. The essentialization of socioeconomic problems to different racial groups is the cornerstone of far-right thought. That's true. I don't know why people die on this hill. Like, it's not good analysis. I'm not, like, missing a big cornerstone or crux here. This is, like, fairly straightforward analysis. Like, if you want to look up the definition of colonizer, you can't. I just don't get it, yeah. But a lot of the white people in South Africa have been there for, like, hundreds of years. Like, they've been there longer. Like, they've been there for a long time. Like they're just colonizer, like, by default for that. What about colonialism, right? Are Chinese people all colonizers because they're part of the country China, which engages in both, like, analog and neocolonialism, right? The Belt and Road Initiative is a process by which the vast wealth of China is directed towards the neocolonial conquest of other Are all Chinese people colonizers? Like, why not? China's like a superpower, you know? China's not some backwater second world nation or whatever. It's China. They're an incredibly powerful country. Like, do we want to go like that road? You know? Do we want to talk about, like, I don't know, like, the conservatives did this with Chinese people in COVID as well, where, like, COVID came out of China, therefore, like, Chinese people are, like, you know, the people who brought COVID. I just don't get the racial essentialization thing. I don't know.
In this debate, Vaush employed the argument of the fear of retribution because, as members of the gamer zone tend to do, he was testing the limits of her moral framework using an extreme hypothetical, which is a very normal thing to do. It's one of the most normal things you can do, actually.
So you're saying that
it's an important thing to do. It is. It's a useful thing to do.
hypotheticals have no value. What, are you too stupid to understand how they work? The ability to imagine made-up scenarios and argue about them is what distinguishes sentient life from animal.
Shut up, dude. No, I don't have a problem with hypotheticals as a concept. I do, however, have a problem with people being framed as endorsing the extreme outcomes of these hypotheticals.
It's not even like anything PF said was that extreme either. It's ethnic cleansing.
When they never would have argued for them in the first place had they not been brought to the table by Vaush. Or
Noah, she said colonized people should have the right to decide whether to live with their colonizers. That can only mean deporting them or killing them. We're talking about statecraft here, not like individuals choosing which housing block to move into. That can only mean either of those things, and both of them are ethnic cleansing. That's not an extreme hypothetical extrapolation of her position. That's just the thing she thinks is okay. This is the reason why people don't like it when you use hypotheticals to test their beliefs, because they have bad beliefs and they don't like it how they sound when they're spelled out fully. You guys notice that with a lot of conservatives too? How there are a lot of conservatives who, like, really do not like having the extrapolations of their beliefs tested because it becomes really clear they're like a skipping stone away from full-on fascism. And they like kind of know, like they think it's you tricking them. Like in their mind, they're like, I don't believe that thing that my beliefs lead to. Why are you what is this trickery, this debate trickery you're engaging in? Well, you do believe that. You just don't want to believe that you believe that because it feels bad, you know? Yeah. Does anyone remember my debate with that TikTok conservative? The one who was anti-immigration? And like it was a blowout, obviously, you know, with my giant brain and everything. And also I think he was like 12 years old or whatever. But it was really, really clear that like he was uncomfortable with the logical extrapolations of his position. You know, like they don't like it. It makes them uncomfortable. But you know what? I got to be honest with you guys. I love your discomfort because I will never be vulnerable to these problems. I've debated quite a lot of people and my beliefs have been tested to their fullest extent. I can defend the things that I believe and what they lead to, you know? I don't expect everyone to have like a fully refined understanding of the full extrapolation of all of their beliefs because, to be honest, that takes a really long time and it's also something that's kind of particular to the field that I'm in. But if those beliefs are being tested, you have to like engage with that process and you can't get mad that it's happening. You know what I mean? Theoretically, a person with well-grounded beliefs could be subjected to the most ridiculous extreme hypotheticals and perfectly navigate them. You know what I mean? Like you could find a way to. That's how I deal with conservatives. You guys know how like a ton of conservative arguments are just making like really stupid hypotheticals that aren't actually related to what I'm saying. The reason I'm able to navigate those well is because having tested the extents of my beliefs, I know which hypotheticals do point to things I support and which ones don't. I know which hills I can die on and which ones I shouldn't have to because they're not actually the point that I'm defending. It's really, really useful when you have disagreements with people, you know? Again, I don't know. I just wish it wouldn't be framed as like a crazy debate tactic, you know?
Or whichever debate lord they are encountering. In multiple conversations since, Vaush has attributed this escalation in rhetoric to Professor Flowers. Escalations like equating land back to genocide. Here he is talking with indigenous activist Morgan Khashoggi about land back. Morgan and Vaush are referencing Professor Flowers in this
clip.
This is
a good convo.
It feels like a very virtue signaling thing sometimes to be very in favor of decolonization. Like, yeah, pro land back. But then when it actually comes to talking about these issues and actually like reconciling, like sometimes it can get, I think, a little bit, well, there's a clear dissonance. So
it's not that people are getting it so wrong. It's just we need to smooth some wrinkles out so that people don't start using really inflammatory language to describe how we feel about our own problems.
The weird part is that Professor Flowers never spoke on these issues on the terms of genocide until she spoke with Vaush, which should be of no surprise to anyone familiar with Debate Bros. Over the course of all these interactions, the first time the word genocide is ever used is here at 4 minutes and 45 seconds into their.
Keep in mind, that happens with conservatives too. Conservatives will run about their social media platforms never mentioning any desire to kill large groups of people. But then they have a conversation with me, and all of a sudden, it's like, oh God, I can't hold all of these implied end points of my positions, you know? That's not a thing that just happens to, like, lefties who talk with me. A lot of people just have really bad political positions, you know? I think it's okay to expose people who are sort of... Yeah, I did that with Sargon of Akkad, right. Sargon of Akkad, I just pretty much explicitly exposed him as a white nationalist in a conversation with him, you know? Now, he doesn't go about in his platform talking about how he's a white nationalist or how he's in favor of ethnic cleansing. Well, maybe he does. He's fucking crazy. But to my knowledge, at least at that time, he didn't. But when you test people's beliefs, you know, it's the goal, right?
Their debate, and it's not mentioned by Professor Flowers.
When you take a look at a lot of black separatist communities, there are a lot of underlying reactionary tendencies like homophobia, anti-Semitism. It seems like the fundamental bones are pretty similar. And then when you get into the logistics of creating an ethno-state, there's not really any way to do that without genocide, you know? Like, take South Africa, right? I mean, it's all well...
So far, all of this is true. Some of the loudest black separatist groups are like Nation of Islam, Luis Farrakhan type stuff. They tend to be really homophobic and anti-Semitic. And in terms of the second thing that I said, you can't create an ethno-state without some kind of ethnic cleansing. Like, that's one of the reasons why they're bad, you know?
well and good to talk about living free of your oppressors, but when you break apartheid in South Africa, there are millions of white people living in that country. Like, what do? Do you just, like, ship them all out? Do you build camps? I mean, it seems like this logic always leads down a really bad road.
Isolate that last quote. It seems like this logic always leads down a really bad road. That conception right there, that limit testing ideology, is precisely what causes the inflammatory language to start being used in these conversations. The same language that the actual land-backed activists said was causing so many problems.
Using really inflammatory language to describe how we feel about our own problems.
There's not
me asking her questions and her having answers that indicate that her positions are bad isn't me doing the inflammatory thing. Like that would be like exposing a transphobe but blaming me for the transphobic rhetoric because I exposed it. You know. Yeah. I guess I don't know what's wrong with my logic here. By the way, the logic that I'm critiquing here isn't the logic of decolonization. The logic that I'm critiquing here is the is this essentialism, this idea that, you know, it's a race thing, like, you know, the colonizer is the, like, you know, they're all oppressors, all white people oppressors, and additionally that you have the right to decide not to live with them. That logic, I think, is quite bad. The decolonization logic doesn't lead to this, though, because I don't think that Noah Flowers, Jesus, I'm crossing my wires a bit there. Professor Flowers, I probably shouldn't call her professor. I don't think she's a professor. Professor Flowers, I don't think she's a decolonization. I don't think she really believes in decolonization. I don't think her beliefs lead to that.
Not really any way to do that without genocide, you know?
Discussing ideas in this manner by pulling them to...
Why don't they show her speaking in this video? That's actually a good question. I feel like if you provided her answers to some of the things that I was asking, it would become clear why I felt the need to ask them, right? The impression given in this video is that there's just poor black woman who's just being assailed with a increasingly unreasonable, like, series of questions from the debate bro. But I feel like, I mean, it was a conversation, right? Like, we talked with each other. It wasn't just her sitting there as I, like, you know, bombarded her. She, you know, we talked, and the things that she said led me to the questions that I had.
To the extremes in a combative context is especially damaging with topics like black separatism, a topic that the white online left has repeatedly demonstrating having very little knowledge about, and thanks to Vaush and others, very little willingness to inquire further. Vaush just says they're Nazis in reverse, and everyone's like, okay, cool.
Black separatism is essentially just the black version of white nationalism.
All of this has been explained.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah. Yes. Yeah. I don't know. If I'm wrong, people are free to talk with me about it. But yeah, you can look into the history of black separatism if you want. Like, they were like Marcus Garvey worked with the Ku Klux Klan. He was a pan-African fascist, anti-communist, homophobe, and anti-Semite, arguably, who wanted to, like, you know, like, establish an ethnic. Like, yeah, sure, you know, I'll take it. By the way, Professor Flowers recommended Marcus Garvey, which is very funny to me because if you look at Marcus Garvey, like, a lot of the good stuff that he did, you could find from anyone else, and the bad stuff he did was what made him unique, right? Like, him going around talking about, like, the oppression black people suffered under white people, you know, like, okay, I agree, they did, you know, but you'd find other people who talk about that. Marcus Garvey is more notable for, you know, the cringe that he posted, that he's been known to post. Hold on. From President Sunday. At Vaush, I covered this, though. She explicitly says, and I quote, "You can't do this with respect to ethnic cleansing." She has a notion that you can remove colonizing groups humanely, which is naive, but the issue at hand isn't really specific to her. Humanely removing 6 million, colonizer white people from South Africa is still ethnic cleansing. And the humane removal of ethnic groups you dislike is the couched you know, language that white nationalists use to avoid looking violent when they're signaling their ideology. That's like the big, like, you know, the big cover, right? It's like, well, we're not violent, you know, we just want, you know, a space to ourselves, and we think that different groups should be able to choose where they live, and, you know, it's peaceful. It's like, well, there's no way of parsing out the logic here that doesn't involve death camps and, you know, rail cars. That is just I agree. Okay, well, yeah, President Sunday, I know we have disagreements on this issue, but, you know, here, hold on.
ad nauseum in these videos, but the YouTuber Carr, he has a great channel by the way, go check him out. He explains why this is ignorant as clearly as I've seen anyone do in this clip from Professor Flower's last video. Let's see if people will get it this time. 147th time's the charm.
I'd like to set the record straight on black separatism because a lot of people seem to get it wrong in online spaces.
Oh Christ. Okay, let me slow down the speed. Did I watch any of this thing? Oh God, wait, we have the wife guy. My wife! Let's go! Did I watch any of this? I think I did. Oh, wait! Isn't Big Villainous the one? Wait, is Big Villainous the one who did that, like, death threat thing on the Instagram story a while ago that people told me about? Yes? Okay, nice. All right. We have the crew lined up. Let's go. Oh, yeah. He's the guy who said that his death threats that he did were because of his white genes or whatever. His white side causes violence. That's right.
The best way, I think, to visualize it for anyone listening, separatism is basically self-determination and creating as much space away from your oppressors as possible, allowing you to act upon that self-determination. If that creating space from oppressors requires violence, then it requires violence. It doesn't have to, though. You can talk about Rosewood.
So far, I'm not sure how I've heard anything that differentiates this from traditional white nationalism. It's just the language that's yeah. The language is essentially indistinguishable. Isn't he one of your mod? Hey, listen, you can be a mod in my community. I can disagree with you. I don't care. You had a conversation with Carr about this exact stream once. Do I look like I have a long-term memory? Do I look like in this fishbowl of a head? Yeah, I haven't gotten a haircut in 6 months. My scalp is overheating. Shush, okay?
Tulsa. You can talk about MOVE in Philadelphia. MOVE was a black separatist movement, and the cops bombed it, and they killed 8 children, and they burnt down a block of townhomes. So,
okay, not what we're talking about here. Clearly, you know, you can take issue with that or have conversations with that. But it's pretty clear that we're talking about like nation states using their power to excise people. There are plenty of, like, edge shade cases we can talk about here, but the history of black separatism, it definitely is deeply intertwined with the history of ethno-states. At least the attempt to form ethno-states. Historically, black people have not had the geopolitical power to as effectively ruin the world as white people have, you know? That's the real white privilege, is having the power to make things worse. Yeah, like, I hate the Wikipedia chop here or whatever, but I feel like when I say that black separatism, ethno-state type dealio, you know, black separatism, separatist political movement that seeks separate economic and cultural development for those African descent societies, particularly in the U.S. Separatism stems from the idea of racial solidarity. Black people should organize and base common heritage experience. Black separatist groups. Black separatism in its purest form asserts that blacks and whites should ideally form 2 separate nations. This is generally what I'm talking about. If we want to talk about stuff like this, about forming like political power blocks or whatever, you know, Black Wall Street type stuff, that overlaps heavily with like black nationalism. And I think there's like wonderful potential for stuff like that to be good, you know? But yeah, you know, I feel like in my conversation with Professor Flowers, it's pretty clear what I'm taking issue with. So let's just continue.
This organization was not responsible for anyone being hurt in their town whatsoever. They literally just wanted to do what they saw, mind you, white people doing throughout the country, building compounds and building their own internal insular support networks and dual power structures. That's ultimately what separatism is about, is creating that space between the oppressors and the oppressed or plundered people so that they can act upon that self-determination. It's never been about ethnic cleansing. It's been about creating a safe distance.
It's ethno-states involve ethnic cleansing. Ethnic cleansing? I don't get it.
We saw the same...
Well, again, keep in mind, and the only reason this came up as well is because Professor Flowers was defending ethnic cleansing in the convo that I had with her. In the context of South Africa, the right to not live with your oppressors, that does lead directly to ethnic cleansing. So this was like a conversation particular thing, but let's go.
problem with hypotheticals arise in Vaush's recent debate with YouTuber Non-Compete, where he opposed this hypothetical regarding Jews being overrepresented in banking during the Weimar Republic.
Whenever people have been enslaved, if they rise up and use violence to liberate themselves, then that is probably acceptable because they had material conditions in which they...
Like the Nazis?
Rising up against the Nazis was acceptable, yes.
No. After World War I, the Nazis claimed that Jewish bankers were holding the country down.
And that was false consciousness because that wasn't actually happening.
How can you tell?
That was false consciousness. Their ideology was not aligned with reality.
How can you tell?
Because Jews don't actually control banks in the world.
There was a disproportionate number of Jewish control of banks in Germany during the Weimar Republic.
All right, Vaush, we're done here. Thank you. Goodbye. This is, that's all I need to hear.
You don't have an ethical... Oh my God. I'd run too if I was him. In case anyone's curious about what's happening there, that guy was actually too stupid to have a conversation with.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Noah, he was... He thought dialectical materialism was a prescriptive ethical system. This isn't like debate bro head pecking. Like, this is a really fundamental. This is like a really, really fundamental thing. Also, I was right at the end. His logic still kind of does imply that if Jewish people controlled a sufficient proportion of the banks, that it would be okay to do a Holocaust against them. You know. Which is pretty bad, you know? Maybe the only difference between Non-Compete and the Nazis was the Nazis had a slightly lower threshold, you know? That's not good. Does he show you explaining that? I wonder.
Why did I ever watch this stuff? In response to Non-Compete's claim that no, the Jews did not control the banks.
Jews don't actually control banks in the world.
Vaush responds with, actually, yes they did.
There was a disproportion. No, I said they had a disproportionate amount of control. The term they controlled the banks is a deliberate obfuscation meant to abstract and essentialize the point. Whereas the point that I said was empirically correct, like historically. And there's nothing wrong with that. A number of Jewish control of banks in Germany during the Weimar Republic.
All right, Vaush, we're done here.
He doubles down on this claim in a follow-up video days later by arguing that this is a statistically accurate reading of history.
The critical thing here is that for me saying that there was a disproportionate amount of Jewish control of the banks in the Weimar Republic, a bunch of people online are calling me a Nazi. Or like everywhere, it's like a whole meme thing. And the weird thing is, as I understood when going into the debate and then have looked into and have found that yes, this is the case, there was.
The reason Non-Compete hung up here wasn't because his ethical system had been exposed or whatever these guys are always talking about.
You don't have an ethical... Oh my God.
But because even engaging with this claim that Jews controlled the banks at any level of historical specificity cedes the entire argument to the fascists.
No, Noah, it doesn't. You literally are saying that historical reality cedes the that all a fascist would have to do to win the conversation is look up basic history. This is like saying that you cede the argument to the white nationalist when you point out that black people do commit more violent crime in the US proportionally. No, you don't. The descriptive reality isn't the same as the prescriptive judgments that you derive from it. You can't, what you're doing is ceding the argument. You are drawing a direct relationship between the descriptive historical fact that Jewish people did have a place in the banking system disproportionate in the Weimar Republic, which is a product of myriad socioeconomic and historical factors that are, hey, largely a part of people being really shitty to Jews. So, you know, you're directly connecting that to the prescriptive assessment made by Nazis that because they did, therefore what they did was valid, you know? Yeah, like, no, you what you're doing is dangerous here. You can't do this. Because what this does, not only does it essentially cede the argument, but it essentially means that the only way we can ever defend our positions is by lying. Like, the far right is like, do you know black people commit more crime? And the leftist then, from your logic, has to be like, no, that's not true. And then the fascist can just like look up stats and go like, well, what about this? And you can go like, well, those are fake. Like you turn us into cretins, you know? Like, yeah, no.
Whether they did or not should be irrelevant. The real question is, why would this matter? I'm dropping a quick...
Wait. That's why I was asking it. Oh, wait. I like the Zizek quote.
Tactical Zizek nuke here because it's relevant regarding the topic of debates with racists and fascists.
Why is this false? Because the Nazis here, even if it were to be true, but it wasn't, of course, they lied in the guise of truth. Because the true question is not, is it true what they are claiming about the Jews? The true question is why, in order to sustain their politics, they need this fantasy of the Jew. Why they need this phantasmatic figure of the Jew. And incidentally, it's the same, I think, even today with Iraq. Here I think that many fake leftists fell into the trap of accepting the terms of the debate. The true question is not, is it true what they claim about Saddam? The true question is a totally different one, is what kind of new...
You're doing that, though. You're saying that you cede to the fascist if you say the Jews had the disproportionate banks or whatever. But he's saying that's you falling into their trap. I'm agreeing. I don't care whether or not that's the case. My issue is that because non-compete doesn't really have a moral system, he doesn't have a way... well, non-compete was like non-compete is so ethically illiterate that I might as well be trying to talk to a person who doesn't speak English in terms of like ethics with him. Like we don't even have a shared framework, you know. But yeah, the point here was that I felt like he didn't have any way of justifying how anything was good or bad, but he could only make descriptive statements because he was denying the value of an ethical system, which is amazing, which is phenomenal, you know. So yeah, I don't know.
New logic of hegemony, new world order is established in this way and so on and so on. Even to accept these terms and then to argue, you put yourself into a totally idiotic position, you know.
The funny thing is that Bad Empanada came out with a video doing exactly what Zizek said not to do here. Lying about the historical data in order to like say, no, there wasn't disproportionate control. He actually did exactly what Zizek said you shouldn't have to do, like that you don't need to do, because it seeds the point. And of course it's a dishonest video. It's a Bad Empanada, but you know, yeah, it's just very yeah, it's dangerous stuff, you know. You need to be able to hit on the prescriptive judgments. The fact of the matter is, I've said this before, I hope nobody, you know, takes this as like optically bad or whatever, but I don't believe a lot of the stuff that people say, that racists say about black people, you know? The idea that they're naturally more stupid or more prone to crime or violent or whatever, I don't believe those things. I think that a lot of the data which they use to support their arguments are heavily weighted by socioeconomic circumstances. But if all of those points ended up being true, nothing about my prescriptive judgments would change. It would be completely unaltered. They, like Jesus Christ, could come down from the heaven with a Stormfront like statistics sheet and go like, yep, actually they're just worse. And I would like look at it and go like, all right, well, and just keep on going, you know? Because the descriptive and the prescriptive here are just not, it doesn't matter to me, you know? I think that sometimes pushing back against factually incorrect descriptive stuff, like when racists talk about that, the Joe Rogan guy was talking about it, like the gene, the warrior gene or whatever, and even Joe Rogan pushed back against it. Like you can push back on descriptive stuff when it's wrong. Yeah, but it's always tangential, you know. I don't. Chat, chill. Oh my God, you guys are so furious right now. We have to save our energy. We have a debate later, okay? You gotta channel your chakras, okay?
And there you have to argue, oh, but it's not so bad. Some people nonetheless supported Saddam. That's not our debate, my God.
No, I don't think Vaush is an anti-Semite, but I wouldn't be terribly upset at anyone who got this impression after seeing Vaush uncritically repeat this false Nazi talking point and then...
I did a lot of research into this stuff afterwards, only to find, of course, that I was right with my initial claim. I think it is anti-Semitic to say that Jewish history is a Nazi talking point. Like, when Jewish museums and historians are talking about Jewish history in Germany and talking about Jewish, like, economic representation because of their oppression and their experiences, and to then look at that and go like, oh, well, those are Nazi talking points, you know? Like, to me, like, this to me is as crass and as weird as, like, a white person looking at a black historian and saying that like their coverage of the Crips and the Bloods is racist because it's racist to say that black people are in gangs. Like it's this weird combination of like paternalistic, you know, ignorance and like this weirdly like an aesthetic of deference, you know? I don't know.
And double down on it. Or if they'd encountered the legions of Vaush fans spending hours online after the debate, arguing that yes, actually the Jews did control the banks before the Holocaust because my favorite streamer said so. It's these sorts of nonsense.
You know, we can all educate ourselves a little bit, huh? Thank God I knew this, okay? I never went up debating any Nazis trying to argue against that point and then got owned when they busted out some history books, you know? That would have made me look really bad. If I was like, no, dude, that's not right. They had like no control. It's like, oh, and you know, then I look at that and I go like, well, actually it's fine that they had this control. Well, of course it is fine, but you know, I'm glad I knew the point beforehand. No, of course they didn't control the banks. They had a disproportionate amount of control. Which is fine. They're kings. Good for them.
Nonsense magic fairy tale wonderland hypotheticals that have no use outside of the performative debate context that end up leaving a lasting impression on the internet. These little Vaush freaks flocked to non-compete to call him technically pro-Nazi when their streamer was the one spreading Nazi misinformation.
You gotta look at the history, man. I'm sorry, but like I think this is like kind of anti-Semitic unironically. Yeah. It shouldn't be a thing, right? If I was Jewish and I was looking at my history, like am I supposed to like memory hole that info? I don't know. It'd be like saying there are a lot of Jews in Hollywood. Like, yeah? I mean, yeah, there are reasons for that. We learned the reasons why, by the way, you know? Had to do with Thomas Edison being an anti-Semite. It's every time the Jews are anywhere, it's because someone was anti-Semitic 5 days ago. Anytime, anywhere, you know? It's their whole goddamn history. It's, you know, why is there a Jew up on top of that tower? Well, people were being anti-Semitic on ground floor, you know? Why is there a Jew on a boat? Well, there was somebody on land being anti-Semitic. It's just a constant fucking, you know, Wile E. Coyote Roadrunner chase across the entire planet. Wild stuff. Percentage of Jewish people in the Weimar Republic were bankers? I don't know which percentage they were. Jewish people were overrepresented in financier fields, in large part because of historical discrimination and the belief that Christians couldn't do usury. So Jews were made to occupy those positions. Additionally, Jews have a cultural interest in education. Complicated reasons there. Educated people tend to be more likely to succeed in business fields for reasons that should be pretty obvious. And additionally, because Jewish people get mega oppressed, they tend to stick together, and they tend to stick together in cities where they have the ability to find the jobs that can take advantage of their education. So when you combine all of those things, you have a group of people who are essentially through oppression being coerced into certain fields disproportionately. Likewise, the reason why there are so many Jews in Hollywood is because the technology for the film industry that Thomas Edison had a hand in, there were many filmmakers interested in it, and Thomas Edison, because he was a cunt, started... Oh, wait, shit. YouTube doesn't like that. Editors bleep that. Thomas Edison started, like, threatening to sue a bunch of people, but he was, like, anti-Semitic, so, like, he wanted to double sue the Jews. Like, regular lawsuits to everyone else, double lawsuits to the Jews, right? So the Jews were like, fuck this, and they fucking skedaddled over to the West Coast, to what would later be Hollywood, because it's really hard to sue somebody in, like, you know, the Paleolithic era when you're 3,000 miles away. Like, the horsemen, you know, the horsemen carrying the letter, like, with your court summons, like, you know, will die of dysentery on the way over. You know, it protects you somewhat. You know, so they came over here. It's always some shit like that, you know? You can look into the Deutsche Bank, I believe at the time Germany's largest private bank. They have a history of their company posted to their website where they talk about their complicitness in the Nazi regime, because they had, I think, 2 Jewish shareholder board members who the Nazis were like, hey, you better fucking get rid of those guys, buddy. And then they did. And they, like, apologize for it. What website is that? It's like the bank's website. It's like the timeline. They acknowledge it publicly. There were news articles on that. Their presence in, like, the private banking field which was quite powerful back during the Weimar Republic and such. You know, it's interesting stuff. But the nice thing about learning all this stuff is that the only impression you really get from it is like, holy shit, anti-Semitism is a real problem. Like, that's the thing you learn, you know? That's the overriding impression that I get learning about any of this shit. It's like, wow, oh my God. It's like all the time, everywhere, turned up to 11, anti-Semitism. In Europe, the United States, like constantly, you know? It's important to learn that stuff. Likewise, you know, 1350, black people, violent crime. Look into the reasons why that is. Oh, wow. Now, all of a sudden, I'm extremely anti-drug war and redlining. You know what I mean? You guys know what I'm talking about? It's like the more you learn about this stuff, like you gain these weapons, you know, to help you fight. Oh yeah, here we go. Here was a New York Times article on it. Commissioned, the book illuminates the extent to which the bank was a victim, but also competitive posturing took it over to 1,100 pages. Holy Christ, Jesus. Anyway, yeah, they did a little bit of trolling, and by trolling I mean anti-Semitism, which isn't good. Yeah, could be better. Anyway, just look into it. You know, whatever. All right, I'm not going to harp on this forever.
Part of my issue with debate streams is that misinformation like this is so easy to spread, yet so difficult to correct. It's why this video has to be 2 fucking hours long and take weeks of work to make. They stream for 8 hours a day and say shit like this, completely ignoring the real-world complexities of these issues and reducing them to fun little rhetorical games to be used for dunking on other YouTubers.
That guy was actually too stupid to have a conversation with.
Then all their fans start spreading this shit around the internet uncritically and wonder why people call them Nazis.
A bunch of people online are calling me a Nazi. There was a disproportionate number of Jewish control of banks in Germany during the Weimar Republic. This is really weird to me.
I've seen an act.
It's taking a remarkable amount of personal control on my part to interpret this as faithful. But yeah, you know, we're all gonna come out of this stronger, you know.
Accusation thrown around the internet that Vaush is a Pedialyte drinker because of a number of older clips from his stream where he brings up things like chimichangas, Pedialyte, not unlike the examples we just looked at. Now, Gary, I need you, man.
Hey.
So straight up, these clips.
Do we have the pedophilia section? Oh, I thought this whole section would be the pedophilia section. Damn, Vaush lost weight. Yeah, that was the all of the incredibly bad optics takes, like the worst optics takes, I got them out of the way early, and the weight left my body. It was essentially like bad gas, you know? I was like 280 pounds, and I was like, hey, what if I condemned child slavery by devil's advocating, you know, its relationship to the logic of child pornography? Just the optics just flew out of me, you know, just exhumed my body like a, you know, like a corpse being dusted.
Clips are weird as fuck. So fucking weird. Weird and wrong as arguments. I'm not going to play them because I am hanging on to a single shred of hope that this video will still be able to get monetized. It probably won't though. But
Inshallah.
Gary?
Well, despite Noah's objections to these clips and their apparent sussiness, there isn't anything in them that would merit the claim that Vaush is a
Pedialyte drinker.
That is a very serious accusation to be making, and to make it without solid proof is dangerous, and
I'm concerned that this good faith Gary is going to have his points argued against shortly.
Should not normalize doing that.
Thanks, man.
Okay.
So at some point in time, Vaush stopped using these extreme examples involving children in hypotheticals, probably because using them only encouraged people to make these spurious, but not out of nowhere, accusations against him. So
that is completely true. Yes. I had a vision in my mind, because keep in mind when a lot of those arguments were coming out, like I was a very small streamer, and I envisioned stupidly, like a retard, that, you know, very inflammatory arguments would encourage people to challenge me, you know, outraged. Like, they would be like, that's not true. Me buying something that was made in a sweatshop doesn't mean my logic is the same as a person who buys child porn. What are you talking about? And then I'd be like, but don't you realize? And then, you know, we'd be back and forth, you know. In my mind, I imagine, you know, like some kind of inflamed engagement as a product of that. But of course, as it turns out, if you then become, you know, a massive, incredibly influential streamer, it's actually just way easier to attack you over those clips than it is to engage with their logic. I had a Proud Boy on once, Suspect Sushi, who was at the January 6th thing, by the way, and lied about it to me, to my face. But he you know, he called me pedo, of course. And when I talked about this with him, he ended up agreeing with me. He was essentially like, okay, well, I get where you're coming from, but why'd you say it like that? And, well, that's, you know, that's sometimes that just be how it do.
So, if he understands that handling these sensitive topics carelessly can have negative consequences, and has adjusted his behavior accordingly in the past when they've affected him, why can't he do the same for others? As we've seen, the effects are real. Professor Flowers is the target of a harassment campaign.
So I do understand the logic here. I don't think this is completely disanalogous. The issue I have, I guess, is that it feels like the attacks made against me require a deliberate misreading of the point which is being made, but a lot of what, like, Professor Flowers is getting are just attacks on her political positions, you know? I guess we have different definitions of harassment, I guess, because, like, I get so much, I probably singly get more harassment than almost every other breadtuber combined. If you left out Contra, I feel like I might actually just be the everyone, maybe even Contra these days. It's ridiculous, you know. This video came out today. There's an article on Substack from a Marxist academic who I have to respond to because he called me like a fucking imperialist, you know. There's a clip on Twitter with 1 million views that Glenn Greenwald retweeted where they're calling me like drinking the blood of like Russian civilians or something. Every day I wake up and it's just a nonstop cavalcade of hatred. Of course, you know, like steel, I am hardened in the coal fire, you know. But in this case, it seems like my community has, for the most part, been pretty good in that the criticisms that they're making are warranted, and also they're mostly about the positions that she has, you know? Like, I don't think for the most part my community is running around screaming like, Professor Flowers is ugly, she's fat, stupid fat bitch, blah, blah, blah. You know, because I'd be really disappointed if that was the kind of stuff that my community, like, took away from this, you know? But for the most part, these seem fine. Unsettling how much our arguments resemble the alt-rights. I agree, you know? It's so fascinating to watch. It's, do you think genocide is bad and shouldn't be done? Yes, but. She yes-butted a lot of times during the conversation, you know? She's an absolute gift to Republican fear-mongering about CRT. Yeah, I do kind of think that. Like, I like, you know, I think these are fairly warranted, right? These are also comments to my video, or to videos on my channel, too, so it can't really be harassment to her if it's people agreeing. I mean, it's not really like, yeah.
Spurred on by Vaush with his use of this hypothetical about the fear of retribution. Noncompete was accused of technically defending Nazism because Vaush, through his little rhetorical game, justified this treatment in their eyes. He is either choosing to...
It's not really a game, but...
ignore these facts or just doesn't care, and both of these should be unacceptable.
He did say Nazis have a point.
There's a great thread from a streamer called Ask Vera that runs through the standard procedure of interactions with debate streamers and how they are a recurring problem. Number 4 is especially relevant here. Reactionary...
Ask Vera, this sounds familiar to me. Does this person hate me?
Thread from a streamer called Ask Vera that runs through the
Fuck this, Ask Vera is insane. Okay, well, it seems we have some prior... Let's see. The topic in the email will not be the real topic. Okay, well, that didn't happen with Professor Flowers, I think. What the debate streamer tells people you said is what people remember you said. Yeah, to an extent. Yeah, I'm not going to respond to every single point. Let's just...
Standard procedure of interactions with debate streamers and how they
are
a recurring problem. Number 4 is especially relevant here. Reactionary debaters smuggle assumptions into hypotheticals, hoping you get distracted with the hypothetical rather than challenge the assumption. This is precisely what happened to Professor Flowers regarding the topic of genocide, and this distraction has forced her onto her back foot ever since. Here she is talking about it in her final video on the topic.
So there are a lot of people who are saying that I'm genocidal, and I just want to clear up what I mean. What I mean to say is that there is no amount of violence that colonized people can enact towards their colonizers that will ever compare to what colonizers have done to them.
How is this supporting your point? This is your rebuttal? There's no amount of violence we could do to your race that would exceed the amount of violence your race has done to my race. Wait, this is such a weird thing to say. Why would you, like, how can you see this and think, like, this is like a, why would you use this clip to support this point? Like, this is a very weird thing to say. If the argument you want to make is like white colonizers done a metric shit fuck ton of damage, then not only do I agree with that, I've never said anything which implies that I don't disagree with that, or that I disagree with that, you know? I'm very clearly of the opinion that, like, broad European-based colonialism has been an unimaginable harm, you know, to the world. But like, this is like a very strange rebuttal to come up with. Like, there's no amount of violence that we could ever inflict that would come close to what you've done. Like, okay.
That compares to the millions of kidnapped and enslaved people, to the thousands of years of history and way of life that has been wiped out, to the languages that have been lost, to the entire caste system that has been created.
This is, of course, it's either a Mott and Bailey or a straw man, because nothing I ever said contradicted this at all. The conversation that we had wasn't on the legacy or the harm done by colonialism. I am ubiquitously on the book of thinking that it's incredibly harmful.
To the relocation and murder of millions, to the subjugation of entire nations, and to the subjugation and profit of stolen land.
She is right. Do I need to explain that further?
But it doesn't have anything to do with what I said, though, at all. Like, there's no relationship, absolutely no relationship whatsoever, except for her weird whataboutism, where her way of defending criticisms made that she is violent is that other people have been more violent, which kind of by implication suggests she is violent. Oh, we have to speed up again. We've been doing it in slow. No wonder time's passing slowly. Oh, God.
Hopefully not, because I'm not gonna.
It's not my job to educate you.
But I want you to watch how Vaush reacts to this clip on his stream.
There is no amount of violence.
Oh, I'm gonna do it again.
People can enact towards their colonizers that
will
ever
again.
compare to what colonizers have done to them. That compares.
What does that mean? First of all, that's not what she meant, because that's a totally different concept. Is that even, like, relevant? What does that have to do with what we're talking about?
History and way of life that has been wiped out, to the languages that have been lost. To the
also, doesn't this kind of support my argument? This seems very strange to me, because it feels like the implicit suggestion is that the violence that colonized people do is okay. Oh my God, how do I hit it twice? I'm so consistent. Because it could never be enough. You know what I mean?
So Professor Flowers says these things cannot be compared, and attempting to do so downplays this very real history of oppression. Again, an objectively true statement. And to this, Vaush responds.
Wait, hold on. You can absolutely compare them. Well, you can absolutely compare them. You can't say, like, well, you can't compare this thing to that thing, even if their logic is similar, because one of them was worse. Like, no. Like, the point of comparisons is to illustrate some point of information. As long as the comparison is being used to illustrate a good point, it can be fine. Now, what would be dumb would be to say that, like, colonial violence against black people from white people is as bad as anti-colonial violence, historically, against white people from black people. But thankfully, I never made that point and never will, so it seems irrelevant.
You claim to not want to do white genocide, yet you cite historical oppression, which could be used to justify white genocide. Huh. Curious. Very curious indeed. Checkmate, Nazi. So,
it was a weird
is racist, right? Am I allowed to say that yet?
I think what you mean to say is that while this individual act may not be racist, the way this flow of information has been set up has led to a racist outcome. That outcome being Professor Flowers discussing historical oppressions here is seen as a potential justification for retributive violence, which was never her point and not how these claims should be viewed, especially from anyone claiming to be on the left.
Yeah, so it's racist.
Okay.
Thanks to their debate, which in effect served to legitimize this fear of retribution rhetoric, a white supremacist narrative is being repeated all over the place, making it so that topics requiring nuanced discussion, like black separatism and black nationalism, are framed as being not only inherently violent.
I wish I could have a nuanced convo on these subjects. I had one with the actual decolonial advocate. the lady who was on my stream, but like Professor Flowers is like laughably incapable of having these convos. That's not a joke. Like Noah, I understand that comes off as like arrogant because I'm white or whatever, but I legitimately think that you could take an average middle schooler and probably have maybe a better conversation, because Professor Flowers' thoughts are tainted by a lot of preconceptions and biases that I imagine your average middle schooler wouldn't have. I just don't think she's like equipped to have these conversations at all, you know? I don't think she's like anything of worth was said. I wish we could have nuanced convos. I'm often dragged down by the, you know, the company that I, you know, invite onto my stream, I think.
But equivalent to Nazism. If we take a quick peek at some of the chats from that stream, it's quite interesting. Mom said it's time for me to be the colonizer. It's a pro-genocide argument, basically saying that the image of white people in chains while MLK smiles in the sky is based. That is her saying that.
This is good. This is leftist advocacy. I like it. It's good.
White genocide is justified. So that means reverse genocide, good. Leftism, it's good. Leftism, we love it.
Well, keep in mind, she's saying all of this in response to people accusing her of being pro-genocide. So Noah, you have to understand this, okay? If somebody says, people are saying pro-genocide, so I'll clarify, there is no amount of violence we could do to you that would equal what you've done to us. That's not a refutation of the claim that they want genocide. If anything, it's an implicit suggestion that they're okay with it because they could never equal that harm. That's not me being like a weirdo debate bro. That's just the logical... I mean, if you want to infantilize her and say that she's just stupid and keep saying stuff that means the opposite of what she actually means, then I guess we could go that road. I'm willing to believe she's stupid. But, yeah...
Thousands of years of history and way of life that has been wiped out, to the languages that have been lost, to the entire caste system that has been created.
The implication here is that my community is uncomfortable acknowledging the consequences of white colonialism, which it's not. We've talked about it quite a bit.
Our resident critical race theory scholar, Xander Hall, elaborates here.
I'm going to say this right now. I'm going to call it out. When people say woke genocide to refer to like the black separatist stuff, it's kind of racist. I'm going to be honest here, because it's not woke. All you're doing is putting woke before something that has to do with brown people because it has to do with brown people. It's not woke. There's nothing about what Professor Flowers or Black Hammer or any of these people advocate for that is woke. Being woke is or Black Hammer or any of these people.
These people. Yeah, black separatists. Are you implying he means black people as opposed to black separatists here?
Advocate for that is woke. Being woke is advocating for integration and cooperation, okay? A multicultural, multi-ethnic, multiracial movement to fight against the systems of oppression in this country to put certain groups.
Liberal colorblindness is a multiracial union to fight against racism? Noah, don't use terms you're not familiar with. This is embarrassing. Colorblindness is the liberal idea that you can remove racism by pretending it doesn't exist. Saying people of different races working together to fight against racism, that's not liberal colorblindness at all. This is something that, like, is you know, Fred Hampton, like a liberal colorblindness, like, guy? Yeah.
Right? That is woke. Segregation, even if it's, well, we're black people and we want segregation. That is not woke. Just because brown people are doing it doesn't make it woke.
Oh, that's just great stuff. We love it. Leftism is when reverse racism is the scariest thing you can think of. Mom,
when did we say it was the scariest thing we could think of? I understand this is like kind of hyperbole, but like nobody, I don't think even implied that.
Can you pick me up, please? They're not being colorblind. There's a good clip from the YouTuber Bad Empanada that explains.
Oh dear. No, this is a very, if you're concerned with toxicity on the left, this guy is through like a dozen social media accounts, like telling people to kill themselves, like harassing people on every imaginable characteristic. I have like 6 pages of unresponded to Discord DMs from him where he like speaks to me as though I'm an alt-right, or like he's an alt-righter, you know, like you know, fat, degenerate, kill yourself, like that type stuff, you know? Like he's absolutely insane.
Explains how ridiculous it is to try to make this comparison.
Let's imagine a different world where white people did all the same thing and the black people were more radical and they were like, you know, we want you guys to get the fuck out of here. You know, we're not just going to forgive you for centuries and centuries of oppression, for enforcing apartheid upon us for 100 years. We want you gone. Would that be the same thing as Nazism? No, not even fucking close.
Forgive your race? Wait, we're not going to forgive your race of people because people of your race were an oppressor group? Yeah, I think that'd be a little weird, a little sussy-wussy.
This man, truly unbelievable. And do I think that would be an ideal solution? Also no. Is that what I would want? Also no. Can I understand it? Abso-fucking-lutely, yes.
I actually can't understand wanting retribution against an entire race of people, because socioeconomic systems made people from that racial group oppressors. I can't understand that because I'm not racist, but, you know.
Did you really just cite Bad Empanada in your video? Looks like you've lost me. That guy is a bad person. Everybody knows that.
Me citing a clip of Bad Empanada saying something that's objectively true is not an endorsement of everything that he has done on the internet. Please stop being a fucking baby. Just look at the meme, okay? Look at the meme.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
That's really helpful for me, actually.
I was slowly swinging around your baby's crib so you can gently fall asleep.
Okay, thank you.
Now, from my perspective, Vaush seems to be defensive about these ideas because he is operating on some underlying assumptions about who Professor Flowers is, assumptions that were created when they had their debate. There's an extremely relevant video that I'd like to plug here. Debate Me, How to Know Things on YouTube from Scott.
I never went over this video. This guy's also probably a cuck. Like everyone else who disagrees with me. You know how it is. You guys know the dealio.
Scottish neoliberalism understander, John the Duncan. Please go watch this, especially if you watch Vaush. Sorry, John, just have to send them your way. But the debate bro deprogramming industrial complex has to start somewhere, and your 2 videos will be our foundational texts. But this one...
The thing that bugs me is I feel like I am, like, almost objectively the less toxic element here, you know? I feel like, in a way, like, this is like the left trying to reclaim racism as a way of enforcing in-group power differences, you know? Like, what Noah's doing here by proxy and you know, the Professor Flower stuff and all this is like, this is essentially like an effort to claim the power and the vitriol of bigotry as a way of venting frustrations that, you know, more progressive-minded ways of fighting back against prejudice haven't been, like, fully effective yet, you know? It's very strange to me. I don't like it. I don't think it's effective.
One addresses many core issues of online debate culture, one of them being how knowledge is created in these spaces and how this knowledge gathered through the act of debate is often held supreme above all other forms, and how this is maybe not the best thing for the left.
I think the issue with this proliferation of debate is that it further embedded the idea that debate is a legitimate way of finding out whether something is correct and true. This is another example of YouTube's structures influencing how knowledge is produced. The platform encourages certain types of content, which then impacts how both viewers and other content creators view knowledge creation.
Oh, sorry, my finger hit the spacebar.
And this might not be an issue if debate related at all to any sort of truth. And the problem is,
I did go over this video.
Vaush's defensiveness, or inability to sort of stop being a silly guy, is a byproduct.
I don't like that. I acknowledge a degree of defensiveness because I get a lot of harassment, but I defend the reasons why I believe the things that I do. Like, if people, like, I don't like it, like, people disagree with me, like, you never take criticism. Well, I listen to criticism, but I feel like I have good reasons to not accept it. Like, maybe we just disagree, you know? If anything, other people aren't taking my criticism. Professor Flowers has never taken an inch of criticism from me. Why does nobody accuse her of that? Like, Professor Flowers said a lot of really dumb shit during our conversation, but, like, she's not expected to grow. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if this has to do with the presumed, you know, like, or like the notion that white people should be more deferential here, or, yeah, I don't know. There's definitely an element of that. I'm not sure. Debates aren't good for finding out what's true, though. That is correct. Debates are good for posturing, optical power, and challenging people's positions. That's what they're for. If you want to know what's true, then you need 2 factors. You need a position built up methodically without other people picking at it, and then it needs to survive being picked at. You understand? The ideal position is one which you can construct thoroughly on your own in a vacuum that people can accept and understand, and then it has to survive challenges. But the challenges themselves are insufficient to establish, like, what's right or what's not. You need both elements of the equation.
Product of this overvaluing of what debate actually is. From Vaush's perspective, Professor Flowers is who she showed herself to be in that debate, and this, above all other things, is the information upon which we should base all of our subsequent attitudes and treatment towards her.
Well, to be fair, Noah, he is a debate streamer. That's his medium. That is how he gathers his information.
She's continued to act the way that she acted in the debate on, like, Twitter afterwards, so I don't think it's unreasonable.
By talking to people. How else is he supposed to know what they're all about?
That's kind of the issue, Gary. The hypothetical answer to this question is that he can actually watch their videos. He can listen to what they're saying when they've put a lot of effort into researching and presenting their arguments. But this form of listening is antithetical to his content format. In order to retain...
Noah, I watch people's videos all the time. It can't always be because I disagree with someone. That makes it I'm not, like, listening, you know? How do I listen but then, like, critique in a way that's not me not listening.
Maintain his position as standing rhetorical genius supreme.
Noah, bad faith, bad faith.
Okay, in order to keep his stream moving and entertaining, he often skips around looking for arguments that he can try to respond to in these videos, or pauses before the points have been fully argued. He actually did the former with FD Signifier's Break Bread, which is disappointing because there was a lot of particularly relevant information in that video.
The scary reality is that the very homogenous nature.
It was a long video. I was just trying to find. I was towards the end of a stream. I was just trying to find the bit. I mean, I agree. It's good to have the full context. You know, but this isn't some deliberate effort to like obfuscate points or whatever. You know, it's just, you know, I'm a person. I look at videos. You know, I think.
Of their fan bases.
Where's my face?
Are fresh out of radical hate.
Because they said,
movements.
like,
And
I
for
show
now,
up here,
they're-
so I want to see my face.
Nah, I don't. Yeah, I'm not. Again, like, this is too generous. But the idea that anyone who does debates are like, oh, it's just sophistry, and like they're not as smart as the video essayists, and they're just like, you know, they just do rhetoric, but they don't really have any real. Like this, like, yeah, no, I don't know.
He acknowledges later in that clip that he isn't giving the video a fair shot and says to go watch it, which is good.
I'm jumping in on this bit at the end, interpreting every statement as though it applies to me, and responding defensively to it. So this is not like a fair representation of the video as a whole. I'd encourage you all to look at the whole video yourselves.
But still, this format presents a clear dilemma to our ability to exchange information. This is documented in Professor Flower's videos, where she shows the way Vaush doesn't ever actually engage with her arguments in an honest manner.
Now, for the rest of the stream, Vaush skips over the segment where I talk about nationalism in the context of colonized people and enslaved people versus white nationalism.
I think I skipped over like a 2-minute segment in the first video that she did, but afterwards I looked at it and it didn't change anything. I don't think there was a meaningful change there.
He also skips the part where I talk about black separatism, black supremacy, and even racism. It's an important part to skip, and unfortunately Vaush doesn't realize that this addresses many of his accusations.
Again, those are all linked below. More homework to get through before the next time I post, which at this rate will probably be in like July. So you got plenty of time. Don't procrastinate. Make sure you turn in your FAFSA as well. Don't want to miss out on that big old bag of cash. So if we are choosing to ignore all of that and just rely on that big old bag of cash.
Okay.
So if we are choosing to ignore all of that and just rely on debate streams for our information, you can probably see the problem this creates, right? No matter how many times Professor Flowers says that genocide is not and was never something that she nor any land back or decolonization activists were talking about.
Well, hold on. Professor Flowers is not a land back or decolonization activist, so let's not draw any spurious comparisons. She didn't say the word genocide. I'll give her credit for that, but like so do a lot of people who have bad ideas, right? She did talk about removing millions of people from a country based on their race. Why does nobody ever answer to that point specifically? Like, people are like, well, if you technically take a look at this particular language, like, no, this isn't something upon which there is a great degree of ambiguity. If you are saying that, you know, a race of people should have the right to use the state to remove another race of people, there's not any ambiguity there. This isn't, there's not like some weird, like, analytical interpretation. I feel like it's pretty straightforward.
In Vaush and his audience's mind, she will always be the person in this clip.
What do you think of the 6 million white people who live in that country? Do you think the black people, who are by far the majority, have a right to remove the white population?
I think that they would have a right to do that, but I think that would be really harsh, and I think that they're not even going to do that.
Out of curiosity, do you know how many Jews died in the Holocaust?
Vaush with the bangers.
It's so funny to watch these gotcha moments happen when he gets people caught in these little traps. You can see the excitement on his face. It's like when the shark from Nemo first smells blood.
I think that they would have a right to do that, but I think that would be really harsh, and I think that they're not even going to do that.
That's good. Do you know how many Jews died in the Holocaust?
So to them, she will always be the person that stumbled over the oh-so-simple question of genocide. You're gonna say but? Really? You're gonna say the B word after I just said the G word? Oh, so you want to kill white people then? Okay, I can't believe this. This is so messed up. I'm literally being murdered right now. The problem with these exchanges lacking any sort of nuance was explained perfectly here by the indigenous activist Morgan Khashoggi in her conversation with Vaush. In this clip, she is referencing one of the follow-up conversations turned debates that Professor Flowers had with another streamer.
By the way, I actually feel like Professor Flowers' terrible behavior was much more evident in this convo because Professor Flowers came in a little disarmed, presumably thinking that like him as a fellow non-white would be like more amicable, but he wasn't, which means that later she called him white, like because she was mad at him, but at the time, you know, I think she came off a lot more unhinged in that conversation. It was very worth looking at.
One of the ways that I saw that was when Dr. Heendout had said, well, you know, I'm an immigrant and I believe that everybody has a right to live where they live, which is an idea that I agree with. So he says, well, why can't I just live where I live? And Professor Flowers says, well, because you're living on stolen land and that land is still stolen. And that's also true. Both of these opinions are valid opinions to have, but neither of them fully encapsulate the nuance of what it is to be an indigenous person repping the land back movement.
Okay, fantastic.
Great point, Morgan. Pitting two perspectives against one another in order to find a victor is probably bad if we want to learn anything about these multifaceted issues. I
don't think that's a fair reading. She's only saying that these two perspectives can both be true, but that you can work through them to find a point while acknowledging both of those. I don't think that was like a holistic argument against the validity of debate.
Wonder why people are doing that.
You do not then get to attack 6 million ethnic minorities in a country. That's what you're doing.
Me, when someone tells me that my entire online presence creates an irredeemable intellectual vacuum.
Okay, fantastic.
Hassan had some relevant...
That seems like a little bit mean. I feel like every single viewer of mine is a genius.
Words on the shortcomings of knowledge acquired through debate.
My main goal isn't to fucking thrive on being the big-brained intellectual titan, because when you do that, that just means they are still responding simply to power. You're not actually creating or crafting an argument or showing people a different worldview. You're just simply the big bad gladiator, the intellectual gladiator, and as long as you continue being that guy, they will fucking give you money and give you praise because they think you're the smartest guy in the room. Because
it is worth pointing out that Hassan's perspectives on debate are pretty much entirely informed by how triggered he is by Destiny. Which, you know, don't get me wrong, D-Man posted a few, a little cringe, but his disinvolvement there, I think, is largely that. But you know, Hassan could be a little bit better about defending his points when he had that extremely gay Republican on the thing a little while ago. You know, so it's not bad to be able to defend your points, right? You know, there's a difference between debate bro culture and like just being good at arguing your positions, right? I mean, I feel like that should be important, you know? Yeah, Hassan defends diversity of tactics and says that he likes what I do because I keep all the annoying debate-mongering fans in my own space. You know, like I expel your energies, you know, your debate bro energy, which is a fine role to take, and I'm happy to be that foil.
That's the only way they can understand who is smart or not.
I apologize for most of this video being me playing clips of other people making my points for me, but I'm not gonna lie, I'm not that smart.
Noah Samsen's a fucking idiot.
I'm good at making YouTube videos and talking about other YouTubers, but that's about it. Please don't copyright claim me. You're being paid in exposure. You're welcome, Hassan. But this is what people mean when they talk about how debate streams are all about winning and domination. Vaush beat Professor Flowers in this debate. He won. He proved to the cheering Coliseum crowd that she is the bad, dumb lady, and he is the good, smart guy. That's how it will exist in his mind and the minds of his audience of hundreds of thousands of people until, well, forever, it seems like. Far smarter people than me have tried to...
Until death.
...explain why this shit is ridiculous and reinforces white supremacy on...
I've gone over those videos too, and they don't. I actually think that Professor Flowers reinforces white supremacy because essentialist racial perspectives on these issues not only take away legitimacy from actual land back activism, but they frame decolonization as essentially a race war, a spite-based position by which different racial and ethnic groups have the right to engage in retaliatory violence because it'll never be surpassed by the initial violence they were subjected to. In reality, of course, that is not the case, and land back activists don't want this. Maybe some ridiculously small fractional minority, but not good land back activists, certainly. I think it's quite harmful. If I were a white nationalist and I were to watch videos from Professor Flowers or from Badmouth or from John the Duncan, it would feel incredibly validating to me, you know, because I would watch them and I would think, oh, they are just like me. They're just the opposite side of me. And I think that's a very destructive perspective, you know, like they look at that. And I know this, by the way, because I see how the right responds to a lot of my engagement with other types, you know, and a lot of the man, I'll be real with you guys, okay? I get emails, and I've gotten a good number of emails that have essentially been from alt-righters or far-right types being like, you know, nice try, but that's the left, you know, anti-white, you know, they just want a race war, that type of thing. These videos, these perspectives are a gift to the far-right because they see that, and they're like, oh, you really are just... You dress it up in academic language, but at the end of the day, it's blood and soil, isn't it? You know, I find that reprehensible, and I don't think, by the way, that me criticizing those elements of the left is me signal boosting or exaggerating how bad they are. I feel like the problem here is people downplaying it. In any sane world, nobody should have stepped up to defend Professor Flowers. You know, like in any sane world, I feel like this should have been a very settled position. I didn't expect this to be like a 6-month-long arc, you know? But unfortunately, these are real issues. And I feel like the logic of white supremacy and of colonialism is being replicated in the sort of counter structures that people on the left online build. Because, you know, debate bro culture may incentivize spicy takes, but you know what else does? Being an angry leftist on Twitter. And you do not have to go particularly far in any left-leaning space to find people who are using systemic analysis as a cloak for just being prejudiced against power groups. But hey, you know, when you're advocating for your positions, defending the things that you actually believe in, the "we're historically oppressed" defense does not take away any of the air from the point that you're essentially just doing the same logic over again, but in reverse this time. The Bad Mouse video in particular was pretty stupid. But to be fair, everyone who's ever critiqued me is bad. So, you know.
Online, but none have prevailed. The debate zone might just be an
time.
impenetrable bubble of stupidity.
Hey.
Okay, that one was a bit harsh.
Thank you.
The debate zone is definitely not an impenetrable bubble of stupidity.
Is that sarcasm?
Nope.
All right, carry on.
I've seen that Vaush is capable of having fruitful conversations with other leftists in the past. One great example is his talk with YouTuber and anarchist history PhD haver Zoe Baker in late 20...
Can I not have a fruitful conversation where we disagree? I never know, like, how do you disagree with somebody, but then I'm in the right, you know? But yes, Zoe Baker is great.
2020. Despite their ideological differences, they shared both of their perspectives on political strategy in a non-combative manner and were able to move forward with a better understanding of each other's views. But when it comes to talking with other leftists about issues he lacks perspective on, it mostly goes like this.
What an ass! Why is it always that? Like, again, like, what do I have to do to have a convo with another left-leaning person, or God forbid, a woman or a person of color, or a woman of color, and like we disagree, but I'm not in the wrong? Like, how does that have to happen? Like, is it possible? Oh yeah, here's Zoe Baker, okay? That's very good.
Or like this.
Are you listening to a word that I'm saying?
Or this.
That guy was actually too stupid to have a conversation with.
Or this.
I'm starting to wonder if you're educated enough to have this conversation.
In before you say I'm clip chimping, cope and seethe, liberals. No, I'm just kidding.
No, it's true, yeah. When people talk to me and they disagree with me, they usually end up, like, really upset with the conversation. I don't know how I can... I'm just a brain lord. What am I supposed to do? I don't know. I'm sorry. Like, it comes off as like conceited or whatever, but there's a reason why I'm so big in this space, you know? I got big in this space not just because I'm spicy or whatever. There are people who are spicier than me, though most of them came up after I started to get big. You know, I guess I cleared that space out a little bit. A lot of it is just because, you know, there's some people on the left take a lot of satisfaction in watching me effectively critique elements of the left that are taken as like hegemonically accepted and aren't really criticized. But I don't know, like I won't apologize for that. I feel like my community is the best community because they've been tempered, you know? When does the Jacobin talk start? Too soon. We have to move faster.
I don't say shit like that in real life. All of those full conversations are linked below. Go watch them and see if you can identify where and why they went wrong. Hint. Here is a clip of Vaush talking about how he views these types of conversations that I think is very telling.
I'm gonna put it this way, okay? I've talked to a decent number of lefty video essayists who disagree with me, and not one of them has come out looking good. You guys understand that, true. Right? Like the times we've talked with the video essayists when they come to disagree, like this is not like I'm blinded by their intellect when they come over here. This is very like a very aesthetic obsession. The idea that like, oh, video essayists are smart because they have scripts.
Once again, he is implicitly reinforcing the idea that the gamer's marketplace of ideas is some supreme form of knowledge creation, and anyone who can't hang with his rhetoric...
Well, this is in response to the idea that debate bros are just like stupid, like, you know, drama mongers, and that the video essayists are the one who actually like present political perspectives, because that is a pretty common narrative. Yeah, I do think though that if you have a good position, you should be able to defend it. Like, again, you just talked about Zoe Baker. Like, Zoe Baker is very, very smart, but Zoe Baker would lose a debate to me 100 times out of 100. It's not even close. There's not a chance. I would annihilate her. But the conversation didn't turn into a debate, because even though we had disagreements, her perspectives were valid enough that they didn't warrant the condemnation that a lot of my criticisms, you know, bring about in other conversations. Like, it's not always an attempt to dominate people. Sometimes I have disagreements that end up going really well because I think the perspectives they have are valid, even if we disagree. I recently had there was a person on recently who talked to me about the validity of race-targeted reparations that I thought was good, even though I disagreed at the beginning. There was a person who came on who talked to me about like the way to regard like black creators, which I agreed with, STV Philly, which I conceded pretty much immediately. It's not always a battle. So like sometimes, you know, but sometimes people are just really dumb, or
must be
too stupid to have a conversation with.
He follows that up by saying this.
Well, you know what? What I do isn't easy. I don't have a script, and I never think about anything that I do. It's all just off the cuff, okay? I don't have any brain at all. This is just reflex. I'm not even thinking about what I say.
Okay, so he's joking here, and I really do appreciate Vaush's sense of humor. But where's the lie, though? Like, I'm not saying he has no brain. I'm saying it would be awesome if he took this "I'm just a dumb streamer, no thoughts, head empty" approach and actually operated as if he understood that. So, in a word, humility. But it's so strange how he can acknowledge this here in a joke.
I don't have any brain at all.
While simultaneously
the joke here is that I'm so good at debate that I can use reflex without consideration to win the debates. That's the it's a joke that
his rhetoric as being the peak of online intellectualism.
Not one of them has come out looking good.
Being open to where your gaps in knowledge are makes things better for everyone involved in interactions. But most of the time, he does the exact opposite of that, and it can be hard to watch.
I'm starting to wonder if you're educated enough to have this conversation.
And so, because of all of this, Professor Flowers now...
Shit, 1 second. Let me see if I can... Hold on. God damn it. We're cutting it close. I might be 5 minutes late. I love you. We can run over if needed. Caps. Okay, there were like 18 typos in that. Very good.
Exists as a character in the debate bro canon. The crazy black separatist lady that hates white people and loves genocide, and any and all subsequent harassment and content made at her expense is therefore totally justified under the pretense that, well, we saw her true colors in that
criticism. Why is it that the videos they make talking shit about me is criticism, and the videos we make on her are harassment?
Debate, so she deserves it. Bad, 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 very bad, bad.
Like, it's like when people make videos about me, it's, look at all these people taking the time to educate Vaush, and yet he refuses to learn. But when videos come out about her, it's like, look at this harassment. Like, you know?
Whenever Vaush hears people describe what he does as enabling harassment, he responds with this.
You know, there's a whole narrative about my community harassing people, but in spite of nearly 3 years of trying to track down the people actually doing this, I've yet to be provided a single piece of evidence of it actually happening. Usually the initial claim is some very severe, you know, Vaush community, you know, harassing, like really bad stuff, right? But then I get some screenshots, and it's usually people just being kind of mean, which I'm fine with. I don't have a problem with people being mean to people I don't like.
Okay, if you deliberately mischaracterize someone as being in favor of ethnostates and genocide,
it's ethnic cleansing.
To your
I don't think it was a mischaracterization. It is ethnic cleansing.
Massive audience. How on earth does this not enable harassment? Like, he's convinced hundreds of thousands of people that literal Hitler is on Twitter, and you can tweet at them. And not only that, but you should, because, you know, he's fine with his fans being mean to people he doesn't like. It's as if he's deliberately trying to miss the point of why what he does is a problem.
Then find evidence. If there's evidence of, like, severe harassment or, like, personal attacks or whatever, then please email screenshots to me, but I'm never going to get them. Because harassment is like when my community disagrees with a person's political perspective.
The response here is especially bizarre if we watch how Non-Compete brought this issue to his attention right before that last clip of Vaush's denial.
What I've noticed, and a lot of people have noticed, is a pattern where whenever you talk about somebody who is, shall we say, marginalized, you know, black or trans or person of color, that there's a tendency for those people to receive a lot of kind of like after effect collateral damage in terms of harassment, threats, and other kinds of like, you know, disturbing attacks like that. Now, I've seen it happen with Luna because I'm married to her. We spend all of our time together. I monitor, I help her administrate her comments and that sort of thing. And I also know other people who have shown me similar results, you know. So I guess my first question is, are you aware of that, or would you deny that that's something that happens?
I think I'd mostly deny it.
Non-Compete is being pretty reasonable here, right?
Wait, hold on. Can I not explain? Wait, you can't. Wait, if you have to get my answer. I don't have any evidence of this happening. I know I get harassment. Every day I could spend like an hour every day screenshotting shit. I don't know. The reason he's bringing this up with me is because in a tweet that had nothing to do with me, Groyper's quote tweeted Luna Oi and said some very racist stuff to her. But that was a tweet that didn't have anything to do with me. It was a tweet that I didn't quote tweet or respond to or screenshot or anything. The most you could say is like, maybe the attention brought about by engaging with a large figure like me led people who aren't in my community to attack her, which I acknowledge is bad, but I can't accept responsibility for that. They're not being directed by my behavior, only by my presence, you know?
Just trying to draw attention to a problem that he's seen firsthand that's actively harming marginalized people. That's directly correlated with Vaush's actions. And Vaush is just like, nope, not me, not my problem. None of this is...
No, I didn't say not my problem. I said it doesn't happen. No,
my responsibility? Am I overstepping by saying that this is bad? Bad, 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 very bad, very bad, bad. Related to the issue of the nature of harassment from these spaces is their crusade against identity politics. On multiple occasions, the first thing that comes to Vaush's mind as a potential motivation for people wanting to defend Professor Flowers is that they are doing so because she's black, or caving to identity politics.
Very true. There are a bunch of directions you can go in this. I do think a lot of people on the left are just castrated whiteys or whatever, who just refuse to disagree with women of color. I can only see the same pattern so many times, where like some woman comes out with some insane shit and people defend them or whatever.
This is what Xander Hall references when he calls supporting Professor Flowers wanting to look woke.
We're black people and we want segregation. That is not woke.
Amazing stuff that we're dealing with here. It's just
I do think it's true, yeah.
Really strange to me that this is the first and seemingly only reason that they could think of as to why people would want to side with her, and not that maybe in her videos she made good points that were well researched and provided more information on these topics than
no, couldn't have been that. Couldn't have been that.
Anything that could have ever come from that nightmare of a debate. Points that, had they actually listened to, would...
Oh, by the way, people keep saying Noah's in YouTube chat, and I've known that the entire time, but I guess I didn't say this, but Noah, if you'd like to speak with me directly, I only look at my site chat. I can't bounce between the two while watching the video. But anyway, as you said, I'd love to talk with you some point in the near future, but immediately after I'm done with this video, I have to have a debate with Jackman Ryder. So, but maybe even after. God, how late am I streaming today? Do I stream tomorrow? Fuck, I have a thing to stream tomorrow. God damn it. Okay, look, just... Either way, I would like to talk. And whatever feelings you may have on our disagreements or on my attitudes towards this video, I think, and I hope Chad agrees with me, that I have acted in good faith over the course of this.
Would have answered all of their stupid fucking questions.
Hey now.
Perfectly valid inquiries.
Okay.
But I guess actually listening to her would mean no more content for them, so never mind.
Hey.
I mean, their content is heavily reliant on drama, and miscommunications can feed into drama, so listening and understanding are both actively discouraged in this online debate space, and that's something which we should try to change.
Better.
By putting all debate streamers in prison.
God damn it.
That's satire, by the way. Abolish the prison industrial complex. Except keep it open for debate streamers only.
Oh my god.
Like, okay, sure. I could see some people...
Wait, he just outright lied. The clip of me was saying that we shouldn't call it woke genocide / segregation because it's not woke just because Vaush was saying it. That was shown earlier, Zan. That bit of yours was shown way earlier. We're in like a trilogy saga here.
Jumping to the conclusion that Vaush was in the wrong without really engaging with the content of the debate. They click on the video, see this shouty white devil's advocate style individual and a black lady, and click off to write a...
I didn't devil's advocate at any point during that video, I don't think. He said he's down to talk. Oh, good. Yeah, we're in each other's DMs. Yeah, I can talk. But after this, I have to do the Jackman thing. Yeah, I'm happy to talk, yeah.
Mean tweet about how Vaush bad. That probably does happen. I'm sure sometimes even because of internalized racism or whatever. But that explanation can only go so far. Again, I'm thinking using debate bro brain here. But in the same way that Vaush is waiting on proof of his fans' harassment, I have yet to see substantial evidence that the people siding with Professor Flowers are doing so just because she's black. If it's there, someone please show it to me. Quantify your claims.
So that's fair. The difference being is that I'm only suggesting a possible cause for behavior, but other people have for years been making claims that can be empirically proven or disproven that I've never seen substantiated, and they're asking me to change my behavior based on those claims. So I feel like the bar for evidentiary, you know, like in this respect, I can't prove why anyone does anything. I'm only operating off of inference, but I do think that, I mean, isn't there like a stereotype of like the cringy male feminist who like just agrees with women because it'll get him laid? Like that's a thing. Even lefties make fun of that. Like, that's an archetype, right? Like, I don't know. That's a behavioral characteristic. And it's undeniable that the online left encourages people from majority power groups to act, like, let's call a spade, submissive in the face of minority groups. That they should be deferential. They should always listen to this group first, or, like, put in this or that, the other, you know. And there is an element of truth to that. I do think it's good to take into account the fact that marginalized groups often don't have a voice outside of the left space, and that giving them a sort of disproportionate say is a way of compensating for pre-existing biases. That's fine, but there's a pretty big difference between you should make an effort to hear out black perspectives and this isn't your place to talk about white person, this is black person's thing to talk about, you know? There's a difference in terms of severity and outcome. And I don't know, there does seem to be a lot of weird white guilt shit on the left that I traditionally associate with liberals, but I don't know.
That's your guys' whole thing, right? Until that happens, though, it seems like a huge leap in logic to be making, especially given the content of her responses. And it strikes me as, at least ostensibly, quite racist, especially when, thanks to Vaush, this whole anti-identity politics crusade is being waged by leftists all across the internet, in places where it has no right to be. For example, on January 9th, I tweeted this screenshot of one of Vaush's YouTube videos, where he reviews an introductory lesson on dialectical materialism from Vietnamese communist YouTuber Luna Oi. His video is titled, "This is the stupidest tanky video I have ever seen. Brain damage suffered." The point of my tweet was to say,
True.
that this title was unnecessarily inflammatory, especially...
By the way, before I went over that video, I'm pretty sure she had called me a pedophile and like a number of very bad things on Twitter in months prior. Like, in terms of vitriol, there was no reason for me to ever, like, be even remotely charitable or kind towards her. But, you know, yeah. It was a pretty bad video. I don't think the title's off.
Given the content of the video, which is a point that I stand by. But take a moment to look at this reply to my tweet.
Is there an actual problem here, or are we just gallantly coming to the rescue of the helpless and vulnerable female POC?
Like, yep, you got it. That's the only reason. It couldn't possibly be because he called a benign theory video brain damage inducing. You are
not a benign theory video. It's not good. It's not good.
So smart. I must be one of those circumcised whites or whatever Vaush called them.
Castrated whiteys.
Here's another exchange from this week. A Vaush fan tweets, Professor Flowers advocated for allowing genocide.
Well, Noah, I'm only going to speculate here a little bit because I don't want to come off like, you know, like I'm searching for insults here, but a lot of your terminology seems to change depending on whether or not it's referring to a white person or a non-white person here. Like, videos on me are criticism, but videos on them are harassment. When they disagree, it's because I'm being obtuse, but when I disagree, it's because I'm being obstinate. So in either case, it's me, I guess, you know. With like Luna Oi here, Luna Oi has spewed way more harassment at me than I have at her. And my video wasn't racialized or anything. It just said it was a dumb tanky video. But like, yeah, I don't know. It's, yeah.
On colonizers. Someone replies, no, she didn't, because she didn't. This person then responds with,
anytime any person of color says anything remotely disagreeable, we're supposed to shut up?
Nope, no one is saying that. Literally no one is saying that. You are just saying that out of nowhere, and it feels kind of racist, man, not gonna lie. In these people's minds, whenever someone defends a person of color that disagrees with Vaush, they're obviously only doing it because they want to look woke, or score points with those Twitter tankies, or doing self-loathing crimes or whatever. Because why else would they disagree with Vaush? The possibility that he can be wrong doesn't seem to cross their minds. You can see this response in his chat anytime anyone—
What do I have to do to prove to other people that I'm not wrong? This seems like a mutual problem.
Mentions that someone is of racialized or marginalized status.
Inpol.
Vaush and his orbiters have made it a part of the brand to value argument over identity. And while that concept on its face isn't a bad thing—
No, hold on. People's demographic characteristics are a component of arguments that you can make fairly with good evidence, you know. The issue that I have is that a lot of, like, didn't we used to make fun of liberal idpol? We need more trans drone strike pilots? Like, I'm calling people out for that. That's what I'm making fun of people for. That's what I'm talking about. Not the concept of acknowledging the existence of, like, racial discrimination or whatever. I'm calling people on the left out for engaging in their version of that, like, logic, you know? Oh, God, hold on. Pigeon! Pigeon, why? Yeah? What are we doing? Absolutely nothing? Just standing there? I see. She was upset because she could smell a pizza being baked, but she cannot eat the pizza.
It has clearly grown into a problem where the automatic tendency of his viewers is to write off the perspectives of marginalized communities, not in spite of their race, but because of it. So my call to action in this section is please deprogram whatever it is in your brain that makes you say shit like this before even reading what anyone is saying. Thanks. Also stop watching debate streams. Okay, thanks, bye.
Nope. You gotta go fast.
So I've said most of what I feel like I've needed to say, but I want to take a moment to look at something I found that was interesting to me at the end of Vaush's stream segment. In this clip, Vaush is frustrated by the online left's apparent failings in who they choose to support. It's a long clip, so it's just a long clip. It's just a long clip. That's just a long clip.
The thing that really weirds me out, and like I hope this doesn't get misinterpreted, but like I follow a lot of small lefty YouTubers and streamers. Like I try to pay attention to like smaller communities so that I don't get too in my head. And there are so many awesome like POC creators.
Same
who
shirt.
Get, like no attention.
My shirt.
You know? And then it feels like the ones that the online left always jumps to support are the worst ones, you know? It's really weird. Like I very rarely see like these big like jumps to the support of like the really cool ones. Not even people in my orbit or whatever, just generally cool creators. Like how many times has this happened? Mel, Luna, Professor Flowers, stuff like that. It feels like whenever the jump happens, I don't know how much of this is like performative self-hatred or what.
The three people that Vaush mentions the online left wrongfully jumping to defend are Professor Flowers, Luna Oi, and Chaos is Mel. There's a common factor between the three of them that I don't believe he recognized here. It's not just that the three of them are small POC creators and online figures, it's that all of their most visible online moments have been fights with Vaush. They've debated him or critiqued him in videos on Twitter.
Well, obviously I'm going to talk about people with whom I've had disagreements, right? I mean, that's, well, I'm talking about people with whom I have like a shared awareness with my community, so.
Or live on stream, they have challenged his standing in the space in one way or another. And whether or not you personally agree with their positions or ideas, leftists jumping to defend them surely can't all be doing so because they want to look woke, right? Like, go watch any of these videos and come back and tell me if you find any issues with the way he conducts himself. Online interactions are complicated, yes.
A lot of it is that they hate me too. That's also one. That is a factor. People do go bananas over me.
And Vaush can't be blamed for everything that goes wrong with them, but it's just dishonest to act like there's no pattern here. And so you might notice that based on how he has framed this phenomenon, with Luna, Mel, and Professor Flowers being the online left's non-white false prophets, something else is implied. In the same way that they are all connected by having challenged Vaush, the small POC creators are connected by not doing that. I don't mean to suggest that this is intentional, that they're playing
That's not true. The two of the people who I talked about earlier, no, 3 of them, yeah. STV Philly, Zoe Baker, and the guy who talked to me about reparations, I forget his name. They were all members of minority groups. Bam, bam, bam. Yes, bam. Thank you. They're all members of minority groups, and I've talked with them about things on which we had disagreements, and I like them. I think of them as examples of, I don't know, better representation, I guess. It seems like, and look, maybe this is like optically bad, or like maybe this is me being like cringe or whatever, but like, actually, no, fuck that. I'm right about everything that I say, okay? When we talk about the prominence of minority groups within a media space, that's largely because of their ability to cater to the majority, all right? Anytime somebody gets big, whether it be the size of Contra appealing to cis people, or like, H-Bomber guy appealing to human non-British people, or black people appealing to, you have to be able to, for the most part, in terms of getting large, appeal to people who aren't a part of like the minority group that you exist within, you know? So when I say that, I feel as though one of the factors that leads to the overrepresentation of WOC with fucking terrible takes on the left, I don't think that has to do with WOC. I think that has to do with a large number of, let's be real, pretty low self-esteem white dudes in the online left who are looking for ways to signal their radical politics. And one of the easiest ways to do that is to make it upfront, either through your positions or the positions of people you support, that you're decentering your perspective. Because that's one of the first things you're taught to do as a white guy in the online left. Decenter your perspective. And how better, more performatively one could do that than to support people who are the epitome of that logic. Beyond decentering, I mean, you know, varying flavors of whatever the fuck Mel and Luna and Professor Flowers believe.
Nice for a host or a raid or whatever.
Almost at debate time. No, we're so close.
Fighting with Vaush on the big stage, as Professor Flowers, Luna Oi, and Mel did, and have it go the way these interactions went, would he still hold them in the same regard? If the online left jumped to defend them, would it be another case of the idpol Twitter lefties conspiring against him? Would they then become the worst ones?
The worst ones.
The irony here is that when someone in the chat asks him for the actual names of the smaller, underappreciated POC creators he's talking about, this is how he responds.
Want to name some of the cool ones you're thinking of? I should do a list. I'll do a list. I'll do a list sometime. I could pull that together. I need to find a way to access my old like Twitch stuff though, because my Twitch account got deleted, you know. So
he doesn't mention them for the rest of that video. This isn't meant to be a gotcha. This is firstly to say, Vaush, if you're watching this right now on stream, have you made the list yet? If not, you now have my permission to pause and do that, and then share it with your stream, and refill your nuggies, and pay me some money. Seriously. Cash. I need cash. Gimme, 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 gimme.
I'm out of nuggies, though. It's a little bit of a gotcha. I came up with a list of a few people. I don't really think of my platform as like a space to promote smaller creators that much. Mostly because when I try to think of it in that way, it seems like we're acting out of line with what I like to do, which is to just sit here and do whatever I want. But no, I try to bring attention, you know. Yeah. Kind of have to operate. You did a good job with Echo Gecko. I don't have the best memory. I feel like we could probably pull through like well over a dozen creators where I've had people on. But yeah, no, it's fine. By the way, I don't think I should need to promote any small content creators in order to have legitimate criticisms of the ones who I disagree with, right? Like the good POC list versus the bad POC list, you know?
But more importantly, I feel like this is another more subtle example of the way white supremacy operates online. Vaush says that he enjoys all these POC creators' work as a counterpoint to dunk on the people that disagree with him. But when it comes time to actually do the thing that would help them the most, he fails. This might seem like a trivial
But wait, but haven't I? But like the only reason I know about them is because I've already had them on. It seems like the own here is that I don't have a very good memory. I don't remember all the people that I've talked to, except for the people I'm angrily ranting about at that moment, which, you know, is fine, I guess. But I don't mean to do this big virtue signal over, you know, how much I help the good POC. I don't care. You know what? I'm not helping any of them. In fact, this is an anti-POC. We're racist now, okay? I don't care. All I care about here isn't, it's not some back and forth virtue signal, who's more woke than who bullshit, okay? The thing that I care about is, are these arguments good? Are these arguments bad? What conclusions are these arguments leading to, you know? I could be fucking Richard Spencer, and I still think that if I came up with all of the arguments against Professor Flowers that I did, they would still be good arguments. The moral virtue of the person delivering them is, you know, not directly relevant to the arguments being made. But, you know.
Thing, and perhaps he has mentioned them on his stream before. I don't know. I can't watch every minute of every one, but they are mentioned here when there's a perfect opportunity to do so. And I don't think it's reading too far into it to say that this might say something about his understanding of the space. If you truly recognize how much more difficult it is to make it as a content creator when you're not white, from the racially biased algorithm to the majority white audience demographics to the material conditions necessary to enable you to even attempt creating content in the first place, then you should be taking every opportunity to fight against these forces, especially when you get an easy alley-oop like that from your chat. This sort of built-in racial gatekeeping of LeftTube by Vaush and others is something that
He said this wasn't meant to be a gotcha, but it does kind of feel a little bit like a gotcha. You know? It's like you didn't at that moment remember every small POC content creator that you've you know, platformed or talked with. I didn't check your other stuff. All the people I'm referring to here are people that I've talked with on stream, because that's the only metric that I have for people I've talked with on stream, right? You know? I think he's just encouraging you to make a list. It feels a little bit like, you know, being named and shamed a bit for not having the mind list ready. You know, you're not racist. Name all black people, you know.
I don't think it gets talked about enough. They have deemed this their movement, and in order to be a part of it, you have to play by their rules. If you don't, you're going to end up fighting a tidal wave of debate bros in your Twitter mentions and comment sections for the entirety of your potentially short-lived career. This is not good or healthy or inclusive. Speaking of which, at the beginning when
Wait. I'm not racist. If black people have bad opinions, they should also face criticism. You know, that's fine. It's not like we don't criticize white people on this here platform. That would in fact be the group that gets the majority of my criticisms. You know, for a variety of reasons. But I don't see an issue with it.
Xander Hall responds to that comment about black creators. He also doesn't actually even read that list. He saw the name of a black creator he doesn't like and then started foaming at the fucking mouth.
I'm so glad you brought this up!
Just leftist things. The names on that list.
I don't know if the thing that Zan said there, I have no idea whether or not this is being represented fairly, because it seems like I didn't say anything.
List were Khadija Umbo, FD Signifier, Shanspear, Foreign Man in a Foreign Land, Yara Zaid, and T Noir. You're probably already subscribed to most of the people on that list, seeing as they're like 3 times my size. But I do want to give a special shout out to Foreign. He's genuinely one of the funniest people on here, and if you're not subbed to him, well, you're missing out. Get this man to 100k 1,000, or I will go sicko mode, and no, I will not elaborate on what I mean by that. Also, Foreign and I will be doing a music jam session live stream this weekend, 11 a.m.
Oh. Another thing that's really important to bring up, because, you know, people bring this up in relation to me. The only way I will ever promote anyone under any circumstances, okay, is if they're like, it's in the format of stuff that I want to do on my stream. If there's a point that I want to criticize or somebody links me a video that would be good content, I go over that. If a person emails me and they want to have a talk and it seems like it would be interesting, then I'll have them on for that, you know. If there are people in this space who are POC, yeah, Kanye can attest to this because they literally live with me, and that standard is still true with them. If there's a POC content creator who feels like they haven't, feels like it's unfair that my platform isn't giving the space, whatever, fucking email me. I see this a lot, you know, but the issue is, and you have to keep this in mind, I have a massive platform. I turn down 20 emails from every one that I accept, but I'm not going to find emails and it's oh, well, here's a black guy. I'll choose them because of their race. That seems a bit odd to me. I tend to have on other content creators because obviously there's a cloud incentive when they have a following as well, and I enjoy seeing, you know, content creators like to talk to other content creators, you know. But there isn't some like invisible like glass ceiling beyond which people get to be lifted up by me. You know? Why does Pitbot say not to email? Because you guys are fucking annoying. And I get way too many emails. Oh, black guy, should I choose today? Yeah, exactly. Keep in mind, most of the people that I'm going to engage with or interact with on my platform, it's going to be in an antagonistic context because I do debates. You know? I debate. I like debating. It's the thing that I like doing. Normally when people want to come on, like when people email me, it's because they have a disagreement with me. They know I do debates. I dislike circle jerk convos, you know, and I like talking out disagreements. So everything on my platform is framed in that respect, but I really don't feel like the outcome of all of that, like layered together, is that this platform is a space which contributes to white supremacy. I feel like I make very good anti-white supremacist arguments, and I've had quite a lot of people of color on my stream, but I will not do so through some priority system for people based on their skin tone. If they have an interesting convo, or if I'm free that week, or if they want to debate something, I'll bring them on, you know? Like, that's just how it is. In fact, in terms of non-antagonistic conversations that I've had, there probably is a very disproportional bias specifically in favor of black people, just because they come on to have conversations with me relating to the negative conversations that I've had with the people of color who I think have bad perspectives. And because in the online left, let's be real, being a white person and disagreeing with people of color is often quite taboo. Like, again, let's be real. I know how y'all act, all right? Fucking overperformatively white people, white. And as a product of that, those conversations get a ton of attention as opposed to the many fucking debates that I have with like angry white people or whatever. And then, you know, I have good faith conversations where I don't disagree with other people because they're talking about the earlier. Look, every fucking person who comes on my stream at this point is like the product of 18 levels of like meta engagement or whatever. Additionally, the stuff that my stream ends up getting hung up on are usually not things I'm obsessive over, but things other people are obsessive over. If anybody wants evidence to this, other people are still talking about Professor Flowers. Like 90% of the Professor Flowers adjacent shit that my channel or my platform or whatever has interacted with has been her being like brought up or forced into discourse because people can't get over it, you know? Likewise with the Russia-Ukraine thing right now. I would have just done like one video or two videos and moved on, but you know, now everyone wants to talk to me about the Russia-Ukraine thing. So oftentimes like there are a number of forces which dictate what actually ends up appearing on my stream. You know. All right.
Specific time, be there or be cringe. With this last point, I should be very clear that this problem is not unique to Vaush or even Debate Bros. As a matter of fact, in this video here, where lefty streamer Shark300 talks with FD Signifier about Break Bread, Shark mentions that he's only ever been promoted by a video essayist once. This is in contrast with the numerous times that the streaming community has promoted him. People like Lance from The Surfs or The Humanist Report, and even some of our Debate Bro besties like Xander Hall and Vaush. This problem is much bigger than any individual or group, let alone any faction of the online left content creation space. But I don't think it hurts to start by pointing out structures that seem to be
maybe streamers tend to promote streamers and video essayists tend to promote video essayists. That's probably true, right? Like I know about Shark, yeah, like in this, like right, like there's adjacency in the type of content that you produce, you know.
Actively fighting against inclusivity structures like the format of online debate content or something like that. I don't know. I don't know. I'm so tired, man. Let's get to the conclusion. Do I think Vaush is racist?
I drew that.
What does answering that question solve? There's nothing that Vaush has said about or done to Professor Flowers that his followers, orbiters, and vulturistic little underlings,
Hey, don't be a dick.
most of whom are self-described leftists, haven't been ready to accept more or less at face value and then spread across the internet. The fact that this was able to happen with so little pushback in a space that considers itself the left should be concerning to all of us. No amount of...
Again, like, I feel like the premises here haven't been sufficiently debunked. Also, like, Noah keeps referring to my community as so-called leftists, and the so-called leftist principle they're upholding here is that you shouldn't ascribe behavioral traits essentially to an entire racial group and then commit ethnic cleansing against them, which is a thing that she explicitly said, and something, at least with regards to the essentialist racial dichotomy, that Noah has defended in this video. So, like, I don't know. I mean, I don't know.
Charity streams, Shapiro dunks, or leftist creator platform growth will make up for the fact that white supremacy is the default. It is the status quo, and unless we are challenging it in all places and at all times, then
I think this is what challenging it looks like, you know? I think this is what challenging it. Listen, okay, the face of anti-white supremacy is my channel. I'm the vanguard. Yeah, I don't know. It seems fine, you know? It's all good.
We are playing a role in sustaining it. After the Professor Flowers debate, Vaush brought on the indigenous activist Morgan Khashoggi to talk about land back, a conversation which I've mentioned throughout this video. It is an objectively good thing that he did this, as she was able to educate him and his audience about that movement. But the thing is...
Oh, wait, hold on, okay? Not to say I didn't learn anything, but she explicitly wanted to go on there because Professor Flowers fucked up so badly that she felt like she had to give my audience an impression of what an actual land back activist sounded like. That wasn't her coming on to give me and you guys additional perspective. That was her in the email very explicitly. Professor Flowers fucked up completely. Like, let's actually talk about this issue.
This only happened as a direct response to the Professor Flowers debate. The upload came days after the debate and served primarily to reinforce to himself and his audience that he had won. If you think I'm being...
Ooh. That is actually a racist talking point right there. The indigenous activist came on because she, an indigenous activist, felt Professor Flowers was misrepresenting the talking point. But Noah is destroying her agency by saying that the only reason I brought her on was to make me seem right. Bro, I didn't need her on to make me seem right. I am right. I was right after the Professor Flowers convo, too. I wanted her on because I wanted my audience to see what an actual advocate for land back stuff looked like, what they actually believed. And we agreed on a great many issues, and I thought she had a lot of really valid perspectives, you know? But, like, for you to take that and turn it into, like, well, Vaush just wanted to prove he's right, like, you're projecting right now. Like, this is projection. It's not actually about which perspectives are correct now. Now it's about, like, her presence makes Professor Flowers look bad, therefore it's only about, you know, being right or being wrong.
Being cynical there, then I would just ask you this. Why is that conversation the first and only time he's ever spoken with an indigenous activist on his stream, and only one?
Because it's the only time I just had a conversation with a fake activist for land back. What do you mean? Because the Professor Flowers convo had just happened. Because 1/3 of a million people were then going to be exposed to a conversation in which land back stuff is misrepresented, you know? I'm pretty sure I have had land back activists on before. Yeah, no, wait, I did. I talked with the Wet'suwet'en person. Wait, that's right. During the Wet'suwet'en crisis, which is ongoing, by the way, up in Canada. Yeah, and Lance has talked about it as well. I've had multiple conversations about this. It's true that I don't talk about indigenous issues that much in my stream. Like, obviously, I'm going to focus on stuff I find fun and interesting, and most indigenous stuff is fucking depressing. Oh yeah, I debated this with Destiny. I debated land back issues with Destiny and moderated a conversation between Destiny and Rem in which they were talking about land back issues. Yeah. It wasn't just this. I don't talk about it like, I haven't talked about it like 100 times, but the reason this conversation had to happen was because I'm trying to undo the damage people like Professor Flowers do. And by the way, Noah, If you actually claim to listen to indigenous people, you cannot simultaneously think that indigenous woman had good points and also think Professor Flowers was right. Those are mutually exclusive, buddy. Like, you can't do both. This is like the deference to never disagreeing with women of color shit I was talking about. Like, they're opposed on these issues. You can't. So who do you side with then? The indigenous activist who talks about land back stuff and agreed with me, or Professor Flowers, who I don't think is an indigenous activist, who sometimes talks about land back stuff, but who disagreed with me, you know? Like, yeah. It's not like I reached out to an indigenous person either. Like, she emailed me. You know, I'm happy I had her on. She's really smart.
One of the 2 videos out of the 1,241 that he's posted on his channel that even mentions the issue of land back. Once again, we see the structure of online white.
Well, hold on. You just said in the title.
His channel that even mentions the issue of land back.
Like, in the title, I mean, if we're gonna go through this, like, what percentage of your videos have in their title this? Like,
Once again, we see the structure of online white supremacy, co-opting in.
Is that the structure of white supremacy? Okay.
Indigenous and non-white perspectives when it serves him, but leaving them out for the rest of the time.
Wait. There is so much inference taking place here. When it serves him, bro, she emailed me, okay? It came up because land back stuff was talked about in the Professor Flowers convo, so an indigenous activist emailed me and I had her on. Like, and she disagreed with Professor Flowers on everything, you know? Or almost everything, you know? And the Oklahoma thing wasn't like because it was convenient for me. It was just like a thing that was happening. But there was also the Wet'suwet'en stuff, which I think I might... hold on. I don't have an obligation to disprove this accusation because I don't feel like this is like how white supremacy manifests. Like, you know, not enough videos on indigenous issues. I'll make videos on whatever I want. How many videos do you have on indigenous issues? It's, you know, it's variable, okay? But anyway, hold on. All right, well, I have a video on the indigenous kids found in a mass grave from mid-2021. Here's me talking to a civil rights activist. How do you... Wet'suwet'en? Is it... Where's the... I don't even know how to search within my own videos. Wet'suwet'en? No, doesn't matter.
Time. I don't see what's happened here as being the product of malicious actions of individuals. Rather, I would define the source as a flawed system of knowledge creation, upheld by individuals.
Oh, right. I talked to a Nicaraguan indigenous person back in 2020 after a Jubilee video. Oh, I remember that. We called him a king. We called him a king. He was in that no, it wasn't a Jubilee video. It was a Vice video, I think. And then we had him on. I think. Oh, here we go. Well, this wasn't in a video on my channel, but it was on my stream, so it's might be in a video of mine. The maximum multiplier usually caps out at around 7 times. So if you owe $100, but there's also severe damages, that turns into 700. However, there is precedent for even higher multipliers. Since we're talking literal human slavery, I just set it to times 10. Now, you could argue that's even too low. If times 7 is like beating a person, what is enslaving a person from birth, keeping them a slave their entire life? First payment, I took the... You kick that to 2%, we start going exponential. It goes up and up. Dilapidated huts because it's their culture or something. No, I think this was from another video that I did. Oh, yeah, I did. Oh, yeah, this video got privated at the request of the person because I think of like a safety thing or whatever. I don't know. I don't remember. It was a while ago. Block and train stop genocide, discussing Wet'suwet'en oppression with an activist. Yeah, we've talked with Lance a few times. Yeah, I don't know. Again, just, I don't know. I don't know.
Individuals who are unable to recognize those flaws due to their own unchallenged biases, homogenous environments, and stagnant consumption habits. Only one of those definitions allows us to actually address the problem. Well, there's probably other ways, but that last one sounded good when I wrote it and sounded horrible when I said it out loud. With that being said, stop watching debate content. Seriously, just stop. I was going to add the caveat that it's okay to do if you're doing it.
I thought we weren't attacking debate bros here.
Strictly for entertainment purposes. But even then, if you're doing that, you're supporting a system that encourages individualistic domination and has repeatedly resulted in the sustained harassment of racialized creators.
All right. Okay, I have to push back a little bit more against this. First of all, Noah, this video is you attempting to intellectually dominate me. Just because it's not in a debate format doesn't mean that you're not trying to pull upon the same biases humans have towards content which reaffirms pre-existing beliefs and makes them feel smarter than the people being condemned. The only difference between me and people who do video essays who debunk other people is that I can do it without a script.
Domination and has repeatedly resulted in the sustained harassment of racialized creators.
I don't know what we mean by racialized creators, and I still don't have any evidence of harassment, but...
Idpol. I know you're not going to listen, and that's fine, but that is my final prescription on the matter. If you don't want to do that, though, then at the very least, it's probably a good idea that you follow and listen to more non-white,
I think we're having a conversation with Ugopnik sometime soon about the, Hey, just out of curiosity, is it, like, important that we have good opinions or be right, or is being, like, a person of color enough? Luna Oi is, like, comically bad. Like, not only is her philosophy and political theory garbage, but she's, like, pretty reactionary. Like, she's just a Vietnamese nationalist. Look at her video on the color revolution. Like, she's not a socialist or a progressive, right? It's just Vietnamese nationalist, and, like, everything else is subservient to that. I'm pretty sure did Hakeem do the denier? Hakeem's done some shit as well. I don't know who a lot of these people are. This person is 91 subs, so I guess it's not tremendously surprising that I don't know them. I'm blocking Carlos Maza, who I've talked with in a friendly capacity before. Maybe more of a lib than I am, but he's nice. We'll talk with Ugopnik sometime soon. St. Andrewism oh, Hakeem said the Ottoman Empire was base. Nice. Hakeem advocated for killing you, but I guess your fans are bad. Did he really? When did that happen? I love when I'm the harasser, but other people do shit like that. After your debate, he made memes about killing you. Oh, I think I remember this Twitter meme. It was something. Noah promoted a girl who claimed I fuck dogs and made violent threats. Noah, you realize that a lot of the people who you like are the harassers, right? Like, Bad Empanada is fucking insane. Like, bad enough to get banned from Twitter and Reddit. Do you know what you have to do to get banned on Reddit? Do you have any idea what kind of person you have to be to get banned on Reddit? Do you have any... Can you even begin to fathom? On Reddit, your Reddit account. Do you have any idea? Can you even imagine? Luna Oi, fucking called me a pedophile. Like a ton of harassy shit, lied about me constantly on social media. What do? I point out these guys have bad flaws. If you want me to just be the unhinged, dirtbag, personal attack wielding guy, if you want, I can just make people cry. I'm smarter than a lot of these people, and I'm probably a lot hardier as well, judging from how willing they are to cry about my community's harassment. And I'm, as you can see, invulnerable, unkillable, and immovable. You know, I'm like the sun in a heliocentric universe, the center of all things. But like, if you want that, because they do that with me, they feel comfortable doing that with me. All videos like this do, Noah, is misframe issues, and in so doing, reinforce a perspective by which all harassment directed against me is legitimate because I'm a monster. And, like, don't lie here. Like, come on. You asked, is Vaush a racist? And you answered with, does it make a difference? Like, come on. And subsequently, that gives people the perception that my community engages in near limitless harassment against them, which I just need some evidence of, you know? Is this true? Yes. Listen up, everyone. Remember, okay? Vaush fans, all right? You are the wandering Israelites, okay? The world is against you, but you're the chosen people, all right? You will get harassment for loving me. But that's okay, because there's a compensation. You get something for it, okay? And it's dope-ass content. That's what you get.
On Western creators, especially if people like Vaush are talking about them like this.
I'm starting to wonder if you're educated enough to have this conversation.
She wasn't, by the way. If you actually cared about who was right, you would field some of the perspectives of the indigenous land back activists that I had on. And, like, show that she wasn't right.
That's a good sign that maybe something is missing from the analysis. Perhaps a perspective. Sorry for the id poll. Sorry for existing. But also I should be clear that coming into non-debate spaces with debate bro brain can cause issues. So I'm sentencing you all to a mandatory 3-month period of viewing this content without interacting before you jump into any comment sections in devil's advocate mode. I mentioned this video before, but I want to highlight this again because it's an example of a way that creators can be a part of the solution. The streamer Shark300 has a video on his channel where, after criticizing FD's Break Bread live on his stream, FD showed up in the chat and asked if he could call in to discuss, and they ended up talking it out, and it turned into a really good conversation. They were able to find some common ground and better understand the perspective of either side of the debate essayist rift. Now, this isn't always a possibility. Some environments are more hostile than others, but whenever stuff like this happens, it shows me that this problem is not terminal. There are good people on here trying their best to learn and understand each other.
Okay, I could be misremembering here, but didn't FD Signifier at some point essentially suggest that this wasn't a conversation that he would want to have with white people? I could be kicking myself in the shin here, but I think I specifically remember people in chat saying that FD Signifier had suggested that he was, you know, something like that. He did? Okay, if I'm misremembering, then chat might have misdelivered info to me or whatever, but yeah. It was more of an inference. Well, you always have to use inferences with these people, man. All the people who disagree with me, they never just come out there and fucking air their takes. I never saw this conversation with FD Signifier, so I don't know.
And that gives me hope. I would like to foster a space where we can all grow and share ideas and perspectives, and I think it's possible, but debate content is antithetical to this goal if it is being taken as a serious form of inquiry, which it clearly is by many. So stop it. Please stop. I haven't talked about...
Oh, if anyone wants, like, I feel like this video is actually a great example of how video essays can be way less honest than a debate, you know? You know what I'm talking about? Like, I feel like the debate that I had with Professor Flowers was incredibly honest, transparent, you know, but like yeah. In a video essay, look, people say that rhetoric dominates debates, and that's true, but a video essay can make any point at once. If you have the ability to edit, write a script, write around any information that's inconvenient, and include whatever's convenient, you can make any point you want. Absolutely any, you know.
This publicly anywhere, but one of the things that started all of this was when I posted my LeftTube guide. In that video, I promoted both Professor Flowers and Vaush because I liked both of their content. And when it blew up, Vaush fans ended up reaching her channel and her Twitter, where she had criticized them before, and I think that's partly what prompted her first response video. So I've watched all of this happen with one foot on either side of the divide, having a new influx of viewers and supporters, many of whom were Vaush fans, while simultaneously watching what they were doing and how it was hurting people. I was a small content creator, still not that confident in my ability to articulate why what was happening bothered me so much. I've attempted this script roughly once a month since September, but I was never able to find the right words or had what I felt like was the right opportunity. But then Xander Hall went and said that dumb shit.
Noah Samsen's a fucking idiot.
And I'm glad he did, because it kicked my repression brain back into gear to be able to make this. And it's especially funny given that Xander Hall is the reason I'd found Professor Flowers in the first place, all the way back in August, through a video response she made to him, where he was, you guessed it, saying more dumb shit.
I think that a leftist who used to be a reactionary and is now progressive is a more effective leftist than someone who's been a leftist their whole lives. I will die on that hill. And you know why? It's because people who used to be alt-right.
Wait, what's wrong with that? It means they could be familiar with talking points from the other side and they have perspective. They understand how people's minds change. Yeah.
People who used to be Nazis, they heard all the arguments, all the beliefs that Nazis and alt-righters have. And in the end, they still realized it was all wrong.
Do you think...
Wait, can we attempt to argue against these points rather than just assuming the audience will disagree and moving on?
that we haven't.
So it feels very full circle, you know? Never change, buddy. Debate bro lol cow destroyed once again in the marketplace of Joe Mama. I'm joking, by the way. Please don't take any of this seriously. If you think political content creator beef is interesting in any capacity, you need to go outside. But first, stop watching debate streams. Stop it. Stop. Anyways, that's it, everyone. Hope you liked it. Sorry if it was a bit harsh at points, but
we gotta put a pause on video essayists until we can find out what's going on. Okay, there are a lot of people out there making video essays, and, you know, it's a lot of people dressing up bad points with flowery, you know, editing techniques and bass boosted fart noises.
But, you know, I just try to be honest, so now that I've said all that I need to say, I can finally retire from Debate Bros discourse, for real this time, and you have no idea how happy that makes me. I'm free. Free at last. I am willing to come on to any streams to discuss specific disagreements with claims that I made in this video.
Should we just talk to Noah? If Noah's available after I was done with this, I want to go back and look at the Zan portion.
But make a list with timestamps and have it ready, or I will leave the call. Other than that, leave me alone forever. Thanks.
Right, make a list with
any streams to discuss specific disagreements with claims that I made in this video. But make a list with timestamps and have it ready, or I will leave the call. Other than that,
chat, make the list. You guys have to do it. I'm not doing work. I work hard. Work 4 hours a day, sometimes.
That leave me alone forever. Thanks. But one more thing. There's currently about 100,000 people in Hawaii whose water supply has been poisoned with jet fuel by the U.S. Navy and their Red Hill fuel storage facility.
It'll make them go faster. What's the issue with that?
On November 28th, Sunday, it definitely smelled like I was in a gas station pumping my gas in my car. That's how I knew something was wrong.
Not only is the Navy refusing—
Guys, it doesn't actually work that way. That was a joke. Don't do that.
To do anything about this, but they are actively sweeping the problem under the rug by lying about further water contamination, and just a few days ago filing a counter lawsuit to keep the reserves open after the state of Hawaii ordered them shut down. This has been years in the making, but people first started getting sick in December, just 3 months ago, and now no mainstream sources are covering it. Please click the first link in the description of this video. It'll take you to a webpage with instructions on writing a letter to the Department of Defense. They've made it pretty straightforward, and there are templates and talking points. Talk about this with the people around you, share that link, and follow Oahu Water Protectors on Twitter to stay up to date with everything going on. It's a mass poisoning of indigenous people and land by an imperialist military power, and we don't like that on this channel. All right, thank you so much to my patrons. As always, I'll try to be faster at videos.
That's the most sensible thing I found in the whole video. Oh, if you're watching right now, by the way, you have a moral obligation to subscribe to my channel and the Vaush Pit. Did you know that most drama videos get put on the Vaush Pit? I know you're thinking, I thought all the cool stuff went on the main channel. Well, the problem with that is we try to keep it to 1 upload a day on the main channel, and too much cool stuff happens here to contain to a 1 upload a day schedule. So, you know, you're really missing out, gotta say. If any point Noah Samsen is willing to hop on, we'll have that conversation.